White Sox baseball on CSN is presented by State Farm. 1917, 7 years after the debut of Old Comiskey Park, we come to you from the new place, Guaranteed Rate Field, the White Sox and the Cleveland Indians as we celebrate the 1917 World Champions. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you. And when you look back to 1917, the game has changed so significantly, but some things do remain the same.
Let's take a look at some of the leaders in 1917 as compared to the leaders today 100 years later. And we'll take a look at some things are similar. Altuve and Ty Cobb, fairly similar batting average-wise. Home runs, well, as you can see, Aaron Judge, maybe the ball's a little livelier now, but Wally Pipp only had 9 of them. Bobby Veach had 103 driven in. Nelson Cruz was 75. Then you see Eddie Seacott with 28 wins, Salen Vargas with 13, and again the ERA, well, Chris Sale's good, not as good as Ed Seacott was. So we've got a lot of different players these days, a lot of guys that certainly know their business, but a lot of guys that don't know anything about what baseball was like in 1917.
Well, certainly the pitching matchup today, these guys may have rathered to pitch in 1917 with the way the ball wouldn't fly then. I
think Corey Kluber probably could have won at any era, any time with his stuff, and Miguel Gonzalez goes to the mound for our boys. We'll take a look at Kluber, who's been absolutely brilliant. He had a back problem, lost most of May, but since coming back, he's been as close to unhittable as you could possibly be. This was against Toronto, and when you take into consideration his cutter, his wonderful curveball, they just didn't do anything with him, and nobody has done much with him lately. Miguel Gonzalez, last couple times out, was absolutely brilliant. Take a look at his outing at Wrigley Field. He mesmerized the Cubs. Just a brilliant day for Miguel, following up another outstanding performance. So the last 2 times out, he's been close to unhittable. Let's take a look. The last 10 starts for Kluber at 5-1, his ERA 152, and everything else is magnificent. The last 2 starts for Miguel have been very good. He ran into Clayton Kershaw against the Dodgers. That's why he's 1-1 and not 2-0, and he's got a good one tonight.
Steve's got his gang of miscreants ready. I have my barbershop quartet ready, and we're going to play back in 1917 today from Guaranteed Rate Field. Sox and Indians. First 20,000 get a nice new 1917 jersey. Retro is in. Sox and Indians coming up.
Sox, we take a look back at how these 2 teams stacked up against each other 100 years ago. The Cleveland Indians finished their season in 3rd place with an 88-66 record. Tris Speaker led the team in batting average. Their staff aces were Jim Bagby, who racked up 23 wins, and Hall of Famer Stan Kovaleski, who owned a 181 ERA and struck out 133 batters. Now, as for the White Sox, the 1917 2019 team still holds the franchise record with 100 wins. They beat the New York Giants in the World Series 4-2. Here's a look at their star players. Happy Felsch batted .308 with 6 home runs and 99 RBI. Legendary shoeless Joe Jackson followed closely behind with a .301 batting average, 5 home runs, and 82 RBI. And pitcher Eddie Seacott finished the season with a 28-2 record, a 1.53 ERA. He started 35 of the 49 games he pitched, and what's most impressive, 29 complete games. Miguel Gonzalez takes the mound for the current day team. In just a few minutes, we'll have first pitch right around the corner.
Chicago is brought to you in part by Toyota. Tested, trusted, Toyota. Toyota, let's go places. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, through it all. By Lexus, who encourages you to experience amazing. And by Miller Lite, the original light beer. Miller Lite, hold true.
It was the year that earned run stats were added into the rule book. 1917, 100 years ago, the White Sox won their second World Series, and the White Sox of today take the field in game number 101 of the 2017 season. Those beautiful jerseys, first 20,000 fans got running rampant in the crowd this lovely, lovely Saturday evening.
Couldn't be any better for baseball. The temperatures are beautiful. It's in the low 70s. The wind, not much of a factor at all. And this weather has been outstanding. Now, hopefully, Miguel Gonzalez will have quite a game. He's going to have to against Corey Kluber.
Last couple games have been outstanding for Gonzalez, and he'll face this starting lineup. Our first look at Bradley Zimmer in the lineup, then Lindor in the 2 spot, Brantley and Encarnacion. Ramirez tied his career high with 4 hits yesterday in his first 4 at-bats. Santana down to 6 from 1. Austin Jackson, Yan Gomes, and Eric Gonzalez, your starting 9.
Let's take a look at how they're going to line up defensively behind Miguel Gonzalez. Left to right, it's Melky, Adam, and Allen in the outfield, with Davidson, Anderson, Moncada, and Abreu in the infield. Omar Narvaez gets a nod behind the plate, and our Lexus Experience amazing starting pitcher is Miguel Gonzalez. This is his 16th start. The last 2 have been absolutely brilliant. He's going to need more of the same here tonight.
Those are beautiful jerseys, aren't they?
So Jim Reynolds has a conversation with Terry Francona. He is ambling his way back to the mound, and it's Reynolds. He's got the plate. Lance Barrett at first, Clint Fagan at second, and Bill Welke, the crew chief, is at third. So the Indians come into this one leaders in the Central. They lead by 2 games over Kansas City. They've won 8 in a row. And it's time for Miguel to try to cool them off. So we're ready to play baseball. I'm ready to turn it over to my broadcast partner, Jason Benetti, who looks resplendent tonight.
Steve Stone with Tommy gun in one hand, microphone in the other. It's a great look on the Road to Perdition DVD cover that you've got going on. First pitch tonight from Miguel Gonzalez is in there for strike number 1. It comes just after 6:10, and we are underway from the 33-year-old Gonzalez.
You want to try to keep Zimmer off base. He's their best base stealer. He swiped 12 of them, but caught just 1 time.
Fewer than 70 games for Bradley Zimmer, this being his rookie season. Former first-round pick of the Cleveland Indians, just 24 years old, out of the state of California. Well, for Miguel Gonzalez, you can't stack up 2 tougher scenarios for a White Sox pitcher. He goes against Clayton Kershaw 2 starts ago, and then he's at Wrigley Field in his last start.
He's proven equal to the task so far. Zimmer was their either first or second rated prospect. They traded Clint Frazier to the Yankees. Zimmer stayed, and he's burst on the scene doing a terrific job. Plus, he can go get him alley to alley in center field.
Had the day off yesterday, other than being a defensive replacement, and there he takes the ball just inside. So 3-2 on Zimmer in just his 4th professional season. 2015 he made it up to AA, 2016 to AAA, and there you see another young man, Francisco Lindor, age 23, batting second. 3-2. And we'll see if the Sox can create the first strikeout of the series against Cleveland. The Indians went without a strikeout in last night's game. It was the first time since 2014, August of 3 years ago, the Sox had not struck out an opposing batter. Pitch number 7 to Zimmer is off the plate. Ball 4. Leadoff walk tonight for Bradley Zimmer. The 2017 Chicago White Sox are presented by Guaranteed Rate. For a low mortgage rate and incredible customer service, go to rate.com.
Now Miguel's got to keep a close eye at first base on Zimmer. Terry Francona doesn't like to run too much, but he hasn't had too many base stealers. Now he's got them, and he's running a bit more, and Zimmer's one of those guys, as we told you, and so is Lindor, who's hitting in the 2 spot tonight.
Well, if you told somebody 100 years ago that the best base stealer on one of the best teams in baseball at the end of July would have 12 stolen bases, they'd say, you're nuts.
No, they would say just wait till computers come along, and the sabermetricians will tell you that it's not of benefit to steal a lot of bags. I think they might have said that in 1917.
I think there might have been a you see or here now, as Lindor is out as Abreu holds the bag.
What a great play by Jose Abreu, because this was a lollipop toss to first, not quite exactly sure why, but Jose was able to drift, come across the bag, and touch it with his foot. So Matt Davidson doesn't get much on the throw, and it goes right in front of Lindor. Jose does a great job. You see him drag his foot across the bag. That's an exceptional effort at first base. And he came away without the collision, as did Lindor.
Boy, the presence of mind to find the bag, kick it, and get out of the way all in one instant is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was not an easy play, and well done by Jose at first.
Here's Michael Brantley, who tagged the ball late last night for a home run, number 18. Number 8, I should say, for Brantley, for a team in Cleveland that has 120 for its season. That's in the bottom third of Major League Baseball. Brantley gives it a ride to right field, but right at Allen Hansen, and 2 down here in the first.
That might have been a situation, maybe with nobody out, where Zimmer would have thought about tagging up. But with 1 out, he felt that it wasn't deep enough. So you just don't want to make the last out at third base. And as a youngster, he knew that and stayed put.
He'll leave it up to Edwin Encarnacion, who in his age 34 season leads Cleveland in runs driven in. He will take a large cut, that's for sure.
He hit 2 last night. They both almost got out of the ballpark, but Adam Engel twice went back just about as far as he could go, both in the 4th and the 6th inning. They both stayed in the park.
So Zimmer at second, 2 down, first inning. And another large rip, nothing in 2 on Encarnacion, and a nice catch by a fan on that foul ball. Now, back in 1917, depending on where you went, you might be able to stand on the field near the fence.
That was a great standing room only seat. You had to just watch doubles coming your way. And that one right off the ribs of Bradley Zimmer. So that doesn't feel too good.
I think 1917 is even a little late for pegging base runners.
He was going to get back easily, and this throw is right in the rib cage.
That'll teach him.
That's it. Take a lead at your peril. Pauline.
Ball at 2 strikes on Encarnacion. Cleveland winners of 8 in a row. Kansas City 9 in a row. And so 2 games separating the Indians and the Royals right now in the American League Central as Terry Francona's team tries to make it back-to-back World Series appearances. On the ground, left side of the infield. And a one-hop throw from Anderson to retire the side. Back in 1917, Ty Cobb had just led the league in runs, and this is what he made the next year. 20 grand for the league leader in runs scored in 1917. We'll be back bottom 1 after this. headset. So we are using these microphones today, which are vintage 1917 television microphones or thereabouts.
I think they're absolutely wonderful microphones, except the fact that they weigh 40 pounds probably means we're not going to be holding them up all game. But outside of that, time for the Sox lineup. That
really is a good look for you, I have to say. White Sox lineup brought to you by the Webb Auto Group. For the best lineup of Chevys, Fords, Mitsubishis, Genesis, and Hyundais at the best price, go to webcars.com. Melky back up at the top. Moncada is at 4. Matt Davidson with his 20th homer last night, and all the way down to Engel batting 9th. So Corey Kluber, one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball, starts his night with a strike to Melky Cabrera. Kluber's having his best ground ball percentage season of his career, and typically he's very strong. He's a Cy Young winner in 2014. Couple straight years of all-star game trips for Kluber, and somehow he keeps getting better.
The one guy in the lineup that does some damage to Corey Kluber is leading off against him, and that's Melky.
.406 average, 13 for 32 in Melky's career against the 31-year-old Corey Kluber. Right back at him, the old guillotine for a leadoff base hit for Melky.
Let's take a look at the defense, and they're going to line up behind Corey Kluber. Michael Brantley, Bradley Zimmer, and Austin Jackson in the outfield. Then it's Ramirez, Lindor, Gonzalez, and Santana in the infield, with Yan Gomes behind the plate. And our Lexus Experience amazing starting pitcher is Corey Kluber, who will not throw a no-hitter tonight. And there you look at the numbers. On for his 17th start, he's been absolutely brilliant, especially in the last 10. He went on the DL. He had a bad back. He wasn't throwing like himself early in the season. He is now.
Here is Yolmer Sanchez, and he first pitch swings as well for strike one. We're going retro tonight, but we're not that far back to disallow Kluber's ability to use the rosin bag. 1925, the rosin bag was allowed, so this is 8 years prior chronologically, but he is allowed to use the rosin bag tonight. I know it's an anachronism.
I know, it's very bad.
How do you really feel?
Oh, no, I just disliked the rosin bag.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, good on a violin, bad for whatever you're doing out on the hill, because it's supposed to give you a better grip. It never seemed to give me a better grip.
Oh,
so
you really do have a disdain for the rosin bag.
I've been very bitter about the rosin bag for at least 6-8 months now.
Ball and a strike, and now 1-2 for Sanchez. So that's it puts you right around Thanksgiving.
Something along those lines.
You started to, you're eating turkey, and you said, you know what I hate?
The rosin bag.
The rosin bag. Yeah. Pass the stuffing. Ball and 2 strikes on Sanchez. And Kluber gets strikeout number 1.
That curveball is so tight and so quick that you really can't tell it's coming. That's why you get so many awkward swings on it. Take another look. This is the curveball, and this just explodes straight down. And because he uses more velocity when he throws it than most, it's a very short, quick, late breaking curveball, and very few people can square it up.
The bad news for opposing hitters as well is Kluber is using the curveball more this season than he ever has. About quarter of the time you see a curveball from Kluber. Ball 1 to Abreu.
Kluber does have a sinker. He doesn't throw that many four-seam fastballs. When he does, he can get it up there 95, maybe with a good wind 96, but he pitches comfortably anywhere from 91 to 93 with some late movement.
That one banks in for a strike. 1-1 to Jose Abreu, who did not have a hit last night after a couple of homers in the Cub finale. Got this thing called interleague play here in 2017. You may have heard of it. Abreu pops it foul. And the count now 1-2 as we take a look at our picks to click here from the past into the future. I'll take Narvaez. The crew has expanded the lead to 2, going with Adam Engel. Yolmer Sanchez for you, Steve, and the fans have chosen Melky, and the lead goes to the fans so far. You can vote online, whitesox.com/pick to click.
Gomes normally is very good at picking low pitches out of the dirt. He's going to have to with Kluber because his wipeout curveball normally is down out of the zone, but this is going to be a sinker.
On a ball and 2 strikes. He misses inside.
Jose has enjoyed, if that is accurate, his time against Corey Kluber. There are very few guys against Kluber that can put up those kind of numbers.
Not many have fun against him, but Jose has had rather good success. Check swing, and he did go around. So Kluber with back-to-back strikeouts of Sanchez and Abreu. Out number 2 here in the first.
Quick and short breaking curveball. Jose could not check it up. A good scoop by Gomes. We told you he was pretty good at that, and he's going to have to be. And Kluber doesn't throw the straight change much anymore. It's varying speeds of curveball, the cutter, which he certainly enjoys, and a 2-seam fastball, which has a tendency to sink.
Brings up Yohan Moncada, who hit an absolute dart for his first double last night. He's now got 4 hits, and 3 have been for extra bases. First look at Kluber for Moncada. And there's strike number 1. On the ground right side of the infield, and that's a foul ball off of Moncada, so 0-2.
Years ago, I played at the ballpark that a lot of the early Cleveland teams played at before they got down and played in the big stadiums, but it was called League Park. Had a very short porch in right field, a very high wall, but very short. And I went there as a youngster. I think I was 12 years old, taking ground balls at third and trying to throw the ball across the diamond to first base to realize how strong the major leaguers' arms are, because they were flicking the ball across the diamond, and I was taking a running start and could barely get it across.
That was how long before 1917?
Oh, only a couple of years.
Oh,
Yeah.
0-2 is up high. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
It's really a shame because I had a list of 1917 jokes. I mean, that were wonderful, but I misplaced it somehow. I know that a lot of them just revolved around mustache wax.
Sox math tonight. The winner will get a Bromo seltzer.
Oh, terrific. I might throw my ample hat in the ring.
You do have an ample hat. You look like you just knocked off a locomotive.
Well, you know, it was stylish back in 1917. Very stylish. You can see right here. I mean, look how stylish you look. Well, nah, not exactly, but
I just got off the set of Ragtime.
Very nice.
Yeah. Evidently, you and Doyle Lonergan are friends.
Really good friends.
Yeah.
Tight. Yeah. Frank Nitti I was friends with too.
I'm gonna steer clear of that whole crew that you've put together.
Yeah. Seems to me a few of the boys wound up with some problems at the end.
You're saying high attorney's fees is what you're saying.
Well,
or new footwear.
Some of them never got to the attorneys.
Yeah.
A few of those guys too.
Rock solid footwear, that sort of thing.
Indeed.
Yeah. Melky at first after a leadoff single. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Moncada. And that is called strike 3. So Kluber strikes out the side after the leadoff single, and the former Cy Young winner has no score after 1. Insider all season long on CSNChicago.com, presented by The Great Escape. Pools, patio furniture, hot tubs, and more. Escape your everyday shop. The Great Escape. Dan Hayes is going to stop by, but we didn't have an outfit for him.
Well, look, it was the least we could do. By the way, Sierra Santos, who is our reporter, looked wonderful in her throwback garb this evening.
She looks like she just got off the stage from the production of Hamilton.
No, it looks terrific.
First pitch, a strike. So if we're ranking the outfits, it's you, Sierra, pretty close to the top. Chuck and Bill are very close, and I'm like 18th, I feel like.
No, actually, I think that's very stylish.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
You think I look good in plaid?
Great.
No sarcasm whatsoever. To first base at Abreu, and there is out number 1. Join the White Sox in honoring Chicago area police and fire departments Thursday, August 10th for Police and Fire Night. First 10,000 fans get a special Police and Fire Night commemorative T-shirt presented by UL. For more than a century, UL has been committed to fire safety. More than a century. Learn more at ul.com/fire. Visit whitesox.com/PDFD or call 866-SOX-GAME. So the rare out for Jose Ramirez in this series, and now Carlos Santana to take ball number 1. We are commemorating the 1917 championship team for the White Sox, winning 4-2 in the World Series over the Giants.
And everybody got the throwback jersey, just a beautiful jersey. So they're going to be able to add that to their collection.
One thing the White Sox do terribly well is the giveaway jerseys. Those are very, very nice.
I love the logo, and it's a very stylish baseball jersey.
3-0 on Santana, who walked last night and homered last night. Again, the Indians did not strike out in yesterday's game, a team that doesn't strike out very much, second fewest in Major League Baseball, with Houston only having fewer strikeouts. There's a strike, 3-1.
Santana, a little better hitter this year from the left side. He normally is better from the right side with more power from the left side, but that hasn't held true either. So 14 home runs, 8 as a left-hander, 6 as a right-hander, and he has many fewer at-bats as a right-hand hitter, as you would expect. There you look at the disparity between the two sides.
Three and 2, and up high, Santana takes ball 4. We were talking about the World Series champions back in 1917, and here is a team photo of Comiskey's champion White Sox from 17. Skipper was Pants Roland. Pants was his name.
It's a good name.
Evidently, the story goes he used to wear overalls when he was running around the bases as a kid, or as a younger person than he was when he was managing, and they started to call him Pants because of his overalls that he used to play in.
Seemed to make it work, though. You know, a lot of guys can't do that, but maybe next year for the overalls. Maybe on John Deere night.
You expecting the wrestler Hillbilly Jim to stop by?
Could very well be. You never know.
Ball no strikes on Austin Jackson. This is a throwback to last year's White Sox. Let's take a look at Pants, which is a segue you've always wanted to use. He was the skipper of the 1917 Sox, who had a marvelous season.
How would you like to have to catch Corey Kluber with that glove that he's sporting there?
Looks like a shovel. Or an oven mitt. That ball is very well hit into right field. Hansen is back, and he can't make the play. Santana stops at third, Jackson to second base.
And I think Alan Hansen is shaken up. I think he hit his head on the fence. And now Herm Schneider is going to wend his way out there to talk with him. Right now, Alan is not feeling too good. So he's measuring it. He's going to catch this ball. It's going to stay in the ballpark. But he goes up and then meets the wall and comes in second.
Looks like Allen's going to be okay. He's got a smile on his face. That's an error against Hansen. Still, Alan Hansen breaking in that glove in right field. An infielder by trade. And Herm Schneider goes to take a look. The way Herm's looking at him there, he's essentially become a cut man.
And as they always say, he's one of the best cut men in the business.
You do have a little bit of a boxing promoter look too, don't you?
Well, that's one of my favorite sports. I actually called broadcast the Golden Gloves.
Did you really?
Here in Chicago? Yeah, I love boxing, always have. And it was a thrill to do that, and I did it with Jack Brickhouse.
Come on.
A legendary broadcaster. Oh yeah, that's something I never told you that, but yeah, that was back there. It's part of my past.
How about that?
Hey. Good.
Yeah. What network was that on?
It's a good question. Probably, and I'm just guessing, WGN.
You think?
I think so, only because, number one, Jack Brickhouse did a lot of work for them, and number two, they probably were one of the few venues that would televise that at the time. So it appears that Allen's going to be okay. He's going to stay in the ball game. But it's going to leave runners at second and third, put Miguel Gonzalez into a difficult situation, knowing you're going head-to-head with a guy who in the last 10 starts, Corey Kluber, the most runs he's given up is 3. I mean, that's been unbelievable in this 10-start run. So you know that you're not going to get too many against him, and you got to hold him right there. So with 2 runners in scoring position, not an easy task. As Yan Gomes, who swung it very well last night, has not swung it well this year, but it looks like he's starting to get a good feeling for it.
So Yan Gomes with a chance here, as we were just talking about, to not put the game out of reach, but certainly make it very difficult considering Kluber. And he takes strike number 1. Yan Gomes, the native of Brazil, his country gained independence 95 years prior to what we're celebrating tonight. That was 1822.
Infield back, they're going to concede the run, and Miguel is looking for a strikeout here.
Gomes flies it to right center field. Engel on the run makes the catch. Santana tags, and he scores. The Indians are on the board first on a sacrifice fly for Yan Gomes.
Throw was a bit off the mark. However, Gomes is able to drive in his 28th run, just his 2nd sacrifice fly of the year. And the Indians on top.
The sacrifice fly rule, by the way, came in 1908, then was taken out of the rule book and then reinstituted in 1931.
The rules of the game have evolved drastically from when the Cincinnati Red Stockings in the 1860s played the game. It was an interesting game, just completely different rules. And now they appeal at third base, and Bill Welke says nope, he did tag up.
Bill Welke, who was at the center of some controversy last night after approaching the mound Derek Holland had thrown a pitch that he thought was a strike, didn't get the call. He said something to Welke, who then came out in front of the plate, took a couple of steps toward the mound, and began talking to Holland, who did say after the game that he felt like he was treated unprofessionally by today's third base umpire, Welke.
The unfortunate part, and there are a lot of people who probably feel the same way, not necessarily in this situation, but in other situations like it. But it's something that probably needs to be left unsaid, only because you don't win those kind of arguments.
By saying it post game, you
right.
mean?
You just don't win that. And I think everybody who saw it realized that they hadn't seen the home plate umpire walk out very close to the mound all that often. So yes, it was a rarity.
2 balls, no strikes on Eric Gonzalez, who's got just 70 at bats this year with the Major League Indians. He is in the lineup with Giovanni Urshela getting the day off. Urshela batted 9th yesterday. Ramirez played second base. Now Ramirez over to third, and Gonzalez at second, all with the injury to Jason Kipnis still on the board.
Kipnis should be starting that rehab, and then it's just a matter when he's healthy enough to come back. Chisenhall's going to be a little bit down the road. They're not expecting him anytime soon, and they could use both of them. Good left-handed bats out of their lineup.
3-0 is down the chute for a strike. 3-1. 25-year-old Eric Gonzalez, who has hit very well against right-handers so far at .354. Just 4 for 22 against lefties. 3-2.
Miguel gets out of this with just 1 run. It will be a job well done.
Three balls, 2 strikes on Gonzalez. It's a labeled foul down the right field line.
Gonzalez signed with the Indians way back in 2008. Was rated the 8th best prospect in the organization coming into this year. And because of the injuries, he's gotten an opportunity to show what he can do in the major leagues and came in hitting .300.
Miguel Gonzalez challenging him a couple of times now. Gonzalez fouls it back. So Gonzalez versus Gonzalez still in the balance. Three and 2. Called strike 3 on the inside corner. First strikeout of the series for a White Sox pitcher is a timely one. Well over the speed limit back in 1917. Just 10 miles per hour. Go to the drugstore for your petrol. Farm. And we'd like to welcome all our viewers watching on CFU in Cedar Falls, Iowa. Welcome to our throwback game. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone, Sierra Santos, our entire crew. We do have a TV truck, by the way, to transmit the game, so we're cheating a little bit on that. But they are churning their own butter out in the truck, so we've evened it out.
But with the fact that there probably wasn't a lot of replays in 1917,
True.
that would render my particular job obsolete. You would always have had the job. And you need a new clothier, by the way.
Why?
I mean, there's a lot of guys that can make that work.
You're saying I'm not one of them?
You are not, however, one of them.
That's very kind of you.
No, I like the hat. The hat is terrific.
Yeah. Okay. What do you not like?
Let's see. Well,
I did get the vest from the fencing team.
Looks good.
So that was nice.
Got some length on that jacket too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I lost about 150 pounds right before game time. Honestly, when we saw our dress for today, our gear, I thought, boy, Steve paid somebody off. That's what I thought. Swing and a miss for strike three. Davidson is down, so Kluber has fanned 4 in a row.
Well, you can tell why he's doing what he's doing. That's absolutely an unhittable pitch. Gomes does a nice job of reaching out, smothering the short hop. 3 of the 4 strikeouts have been swinging, and of course Moncada on a fastball taken for strike 3.
Have you found the 1917 jokes yet?
Well, some gentleman sent one in.
Yeah.
Actually, and I have found it. I'm trying to find a way to reword it, but actually, no, it's very good.
It's a ground ball to shortstop, and Lindor throws out Narvaez, so 2 away here in the second inning.
So here it is.
Oh, you are going to do it?
Yeah, little Maddie flew into the house very late one evening and hurried to her mother's chair. Oh, mother, she cried, don't scold me. I've been such a disappointment. A horse fell down in the street. They said they were going to call a horse doctor, so of course I had to stay. After I waited and waited and waited, he finally came, and wouldn't you know it, he was just a man. I guess comedy came around about 15, 20 years later.
See, the doctor was going to be a horse,
Yeah.
she thought.
Stephen Jaworski, thank you for tweeting that in, I think.
Yeah, I think maybe the concept of thank you has changed over the course of 100 years as well. Alan Hansen, who had an encounter with the wall in the top of this inning, grounds that 1-0 foul, ball and a strike to Hansen. 2 for 4 yesterday for Allen. His first season with the White Sox, a couple months into his tenure after coming over from the Pirates on waivers. Trying to check his swing. Let's see if he did. The answer is no. Bill Welke at third does call it strike 2. Corey Kluber 1-2, and Hansen drills it down the right field line, but foul. When you look at Corey Kluber since the Cy Young season in 2014, 894 strikeouts, second most in the American League to Chris Sale, and third most in the majors behind Sale and Max Scherzer.
Kluber has almost a 6-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio, which will get the job done.
He coaxes the swing there to strike out Hansen. Punch out number 5 in 6 outs so far for Corey Kluber, who sometimes is unstoppable. 1-0 Cleveland after 2.
brought to you by Wintrust. We hear from Don Cooper about future call-ups, why he can't watch Jose Quintana or Chris Sale pitch in different uniforms. Plus, the guys break down the Anthony Swarzak trade to the Brewers and what the Sox got back in return. Subscribe to the podcast today.
What's a podcast? Is that where you take like 10 peas or something and talk into them?
No, but I will tell you, this particular talk podcast is a Jim Dandy.
Wow. Broken bat flares, second base side. This is big trouble, and it drops in. Bradley Zimmer chased back to first. He has a leadoff single in the third.
This one was up for a while, and 3 different players had a shot, but nobody could get all that close to it. As Engel comes flashing across, Alan Hansen couldn't get there, and on the dive, that one falls. So an ominous way to start as Zimmer walked to lead off the first, but did not try to steal then. I would think he would try to steal now.
Why do you say that?
I think because he's seen the move. He's seen what Miguel does out of the stretch. That time it wasn't the fast move, but he did catch him leaning towards second base.
Lindor bunted out in the first. Another throw to first base, and Bradley Zimmer. Cleveland, by the way, in 1917 was just a couple years deep into the name of the Cleveland Indians, which was adopted in the middle of the 1910s. As we showed you in the pregame, an 88-win season after in 1914 losing 102 games. 51 wins, 102 losses.
Obviously a rebuilding year.
Very much so. I mean, it is interesting to think about how not only the game has changed in the last 100 years, but even in the last 20 years. I mean, you look, say 30 years back, 1987, and the amount of base stealing that was going on at the time and the different types of hitters there were. And this is a baseball transition time once again, it seems, with the way hitters are growing exponentially. The average fielder has grown and grown and grown over the last 2 decades.
And
Pitchers
also
are throwing harder.
Yeah, a bit of a change, and you see it a lot with the Yankees and Astros. They're not throwing near as many fastballs as an organizational philosophy. Sticking mostly to sliders, thinking that that's an easier pitch to get people out. They're probably right, but if you throw a whole lot of them, I'm not sure about the longevity of the career. But the 4-seam fastball, the way it's been used, is going away. Now most of the fastballs are 2-seamers, trying to get a little sink or a little run. And the slider is taking precedence over just about everything else.
There goes Zimmer, and it's a foul ball from Lindor, so 1-2. Do you lament the loss of the spitball back in 1920?
No, because there was lots of spitballs thrown later.
Right.
The problem being that it was very difficult to control. Very few guys can throw it and consistently control it, which is why more guys don't use it. That and the fact that it is illegal. And you know better than most, pitchers would never do anything illegal.
You're not dressed like you do anything illegal right now, that's for sure.
There you go. That's the tune, Pally.
You filthy animal. Keep the change. Ball and 2 strikes on Lindor. Brantley next, and Encarnacion. Zimmer runs again, and another foul ball from Lindor.
Lindor is still a very young player and a switch hitter because it's tough to keep a good stroke from both sides of the plate, but he's only fanned 59 times in 407 at bats. So again, for a young player, that's very impressive.
Miguel Gonzalez on 1 and 2. Lindor whacks it to right field, a base hit. Zimmer's on his way to third. He'll test Hansen, the former infielder, and he made the smart choice. Throw to second is not in time. Lindor behind the play, slides in safely, and the Indians have second and third.
As soon as Lindor saw the angle of the throw, he was taking off. And you got to make sure in this situation you keep the double play in order. That's a straight change taken into right field. So Zimmer with very good speed testing the arm of Alan Hansen. Biggest problem here was couldn't cut the throw off.
So now the Indians are in business with Brantley up. Encarnacion to follow, then Ramirez. And you'd imagine this situation, second and third, nobody out, is fish in a barrel for as good of a hitter as Michael Brantley is. Throw to third, and Zimmer with a hard tag steps on the bag.
Omar saw a whole lot of Contreras. Wilson Contreras with 2 L's. Saw a whole lot of him throwing the ball all over. Decided to shorten up the secondary lead of Zimmer. It's a good idea.
There's a fastball in for a strike. 1-1 to Brantley, who has seen Gonzalez 16 times in his career. 5 hits, 2 doubles, and a home run included. Brantley in the air, right center field at an angle. Zimmer tags, so does Lindor. Throw to third, and it's 2-0 Cleveland on the sacrifice fly for Michael Brantley.
It's number 49 for Michael Brantley. And somewhat surprisingly, well, he's got 4 of them. I thought he would have a few more, but 4 is pretty good. That would tie him for the team lead in sacrifice flies.
So Brantley drives in the 1. Now Lindor at third with Encarnacion at the plate, and best case scenario here would be strikeout, then the final out. Infield comes in for this at bat, and Encarnacion gets jammed. Way outside, ball and a strike for Encarnacion. One and one is way high, so 2 balls and a strike. Encarnacion, who is the 10th Dominican-born player with 300 homers, 1,500 hits, and 1,000 driven in.
That's pretty impressive, but he's been a wrecking crew since he got to Toronto, and now here with Cleveland.
That is laced to center field, and Cleveland moves the lead to 3-0 on the RBI single from Encarnacion.
That's 60 runs batted in for the man who drove in 127 last year. Off to a slow start this year. Encarnacion is a run producer, and a big one. And when he gets one up in his eyes with a man in scoring position, he does this. Right back up the middle, hard hit. And spotting Corey Kluber 3 runs is not the recipe for defeating him. But that's where we stand.
Last time Corey Kluber allowed more than 3 earned runs in a game was May the 2nd. So how does that sound?
Well, at that point, his back was bothering him. He was trying to pitch his way through it and was doing everything he can to take the baseball and go out there. But the breaking ball wasn't near the same because he couldn't extend. Any of you who've had any back issues at all realize that it's very difficult to get loose. Once you do get loose, it's difficult to stay loose. And with Kluber, finally he had to go on the DL because he just couldn't get it done. And he's a pretty tough guy. If he's complaining that he's got some problems with his back, you know, it was plaguing him. But since coming back, he's been just brilliant. He's been the Kluber of old.
In the air, first base side. Abreu fading into foul territory for out number 2. We are celebrating the 1917 team and the Chicago American Giants back in 1917, the Western Region barnstorming champions. Rube Foster was the manager, the father of Negro League Baseball. Some key players: Pete Hill, Cannonball Dick Redding, and Pop Lloyd.
And Dick Redding got that nickname because of his great diving ability. So that's why they called him Cannonball.
Are we playing 2 truths and a lie? And you just served up the lie first?
I'm not sure exactly if that's necessarily the case, but it seemed like it was a reasonable explanation for something that's difficult to explain.
That's true.
Now, you know why Mordecai Three Finger Brown was called Three Fingers, don't you?
Fairly self-explanatory.
Yeah. See, there you go.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that history update. Santana on pitch number 2 has himself the 4th hit of the inning for the Cleveland Indians.
We were talking to you yesterday about Santana, and there you look at Charles Comiskey.
1910, Old Comiskey Park was first in use all the way through 1990. And here comes Don Cooper for a quick visit. You were saying about Santana?
Yeah, coming up with the Dodgers, he was really highly thought of. But at that time, he was catching and occasionally playing third base. So when they traded him, they got what they wanted at the time, which was a quality major league third baseman in Casey Blake. They got a guy because they were trying to get to the playoffs that they felt could help them immediately, which Blake did and could. They gave up a piece of the future, a big piece of the future in Carlos Santana. You never really know how that's going to work out. Occasionally it works out exceptionally well, and it did for the Indians.
I think it was Jerry Krasnick today who had the story about less than 1 in 5 prospects traded at the deadline end up with more than 2 years of major league service. Now, there have been some large trades where there are 2 or 3 guys that are there for organizational depth. Usually the headliners are the ones that you end up wanting from those deals, but I thought it was interesting to see that maybe about 1 in 5 ends up having a long major league career.
Well, as we know, it's not an exact science. I mean, you take a look at a guy and there are copious amounts of scouting reports on each and every one of these guys. From the time that they sign, they're written up by the opposing managers if they're not in your organization. You play them at whatever level, you write a report on the opposing players. So by the time they become eligible to be traded, the team that acquires them knows a whole lot about them. But you never know. You don't know if they're going to be able to mature and take the next step and how good they're going to be. You're only going on potential at that point.
Another caveat with those numbers is you're talking about trade deadline deals, not before the deadline or during the off season, and sometimes when you get to July 31st, there's such a glut of teams trying to make a deal that you don't get the best value that you would imagine you would have found at another time because of that bottleneck. Two and two for Jackson. This really is a very selective team, the Cleveland Indians.
It really makes them very difficult to face, because if a team is going to be as selective as the Indians, even if they put the ball in play on the 6th, 7th, or 8th pitch of an at-bat, it doesn't make for long outings, and that's what Terry Francona and his boys are trying to do, is get into the bullpen as quickly as you can by extending the starters' pitches.
Austin Jackson in the air, well struck, left center field, angle is back at the warning track and the wall, and Austin Jackson has done some more damage. He ends up at second base.
Well, they're telling Santana to go back to third because it bounced out of the ballpark, so he scored rather easily, but with the ball in the stands, you can understand that. Tough to make a play on him that way.
That would be terribly difficult. It's a ground rule double for Jackson, and Encarnacion home.
This looked like a cutter that stayed right up in the zone, and that's the biggest problem for Miguel tonight, is the fact that he's missing his spots drastically. The Indians are not a great hitting team, but they're a good hitting team, and they're taking advantage of every mistake that Miguel is making.
So the ground rule double for Jackson, and here is Yan Gomes. On the ground to third, Matt Davidson to retire the side. But Cleveland does grab 3 runs on a total of 5 hits, so 4-0 Cleveland after 2.5 for Kluber.
In the 1917 White Sox won the World Series 30 years before Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier. I talked to Tim Anderson about his multiple trips to the Negro League Museum, what they have meant to him, and diversity and inclusion in baseball today.
It was a great experience. You know, we got to take a good tour, and he got to tell us a little bit about what was going on in the museum, and point out a couple players and tell us about the coaches and stuff. And, you know, it was a great experience for me, and such an honor to be in the mix of that. And, you know, I'm just excited to be here. To bring those guys in and mix them all in and just, you know, come together as a family. You know, I'm definitely proud and honored to be a part of that, and, you know, just build a relationship with all type of guys.
Tim also told me every single time he goes, he learns something new. Jason C., let's go back up to you.
You know, I've not had the opportunity to go and check out the museum. I've heard wonderful things. I've only been to Kansas City a couple of times. You've been, right?
I have, and just a delightful man by the name of Buck O'Neill.
Anderson in the air right center field, and Zimmer for out number 1.
I had a chance to talk many times with Buck O'Neill, who was a truly wonderful man and one of the players that was involved very prominently in the Negro League, was a great player and just as a goodwill ambassador about as good as it got. And listening to him talk about what it was like and the various things that they had to go through, I would like to think that baseball players today, not only the black players in the game, but all the players realize how many people paid substantial prices to get the game to where it is today. And certainly all those who played in the Negro Leagues and could not get into the major leagues at the time until Jackie Robinson came along, all of those people were pioneers in this game.
Same for everybody who did it in radio and television and music and generally civil rights in this country. But Jackie Robinson and everybody involved with the development of baseball and the progress deserves to be lauded. And good for Tim Anderson, by the way, for being aware of and interested in and deeply touched by the history of the game. Ball and 2 strikes for Adam Engel. Sox got the leadoff man on against Kluber and nothing since.
That last pitch was the Kluber cutter. Came in at 90 miles an hour. And you hope he runs out a curveball soon because it's unhittable.
That one clipped Adam. And he is on at first with 1 down here in the 3rd.
Kluber wants it up and in. And that one just tips off the left arm.
Certainly it's not enjoyable to be hit by a pitch, but there is a competitive advantage as well.
That's only the 2nd time all year that Kluber has hit somebody, because more times than not he'll stay away, especially to the right-hand hitters. You got to look away because he's going to be there with just about all of his stuff. He'll throw that fastball inside, but not all that often.
Yeah, we've seen cutter and curveball away. As Melky lifts it foul, there's really no reason for him to go in to right-handers if they're going to swing at the curveball away for the most part.
Yeah, not if you have that kind of command, which he does. Last 4 starts against our Sox. Well, to say he's been good would be an understatement. At 4-0 with an ERA just above 1.5. And 33 strikeouts to go with just 7 walks.
On the ground, Lindor at shortstop. What a beautiful play, but he couldn't feed it to Gonzalez in time, and Engel comes crashing in safely. 2 on with 1 down.
It is a base hit. And this took an awkward bounce up the middle right here. The ball gets up. It shows you the great hands that Lindor has. Normally that's in center field. Take a look at this hop. It bounces up over the glove, and there's a ringing endorsement to you young infielders. When you go to make a play on a ground ball, you have to keep the glove down. If he didn't have the glove down, he had no chance at this. And you also guard against the ball flattening out. So as you go to the ball, you keep the glove down. If the ball flattens, you make the play, and then you come up with the hop. It's very tough to go down with a ball that flattens out.
And that is magical hand-eye coordination.
Yeah. Terrific play. Didn't get the out, but didn't diminish the effort.
Now Yolmer Sanchez. First pitch is strike number 1 to Sanchez, who was 0 for 4 last night. Came into the series hitting below 200 in July. 193 as the day started yesterday. Sanchez down the right field line toward the corner, and this is a foul ball.
Got out ahead a little too quickly. Probably would have scored 2. But it hooked foul.
You know, first 3 months of the season, Yolmer Sanchez was having a breakout year, and he still is, especially at second base, a very strong defensive player.
Well, Yolmer understands the game, understands a whole lot of it, has a very high baseball acumen, but also knew the situation that as soon as Moncada got here, he was going to play every day. He didn't have to draw that out to Yolmer. He knew it.
Swing and a miss for strike 3, so Kluber with his 6th strikeout. Sox fans, join us as the Sox take on the Minnesota Twins August 24th, 7:10 p.m. It's free T-shirt Thursday. First 10,000 fans get a White Sox tee presented by the Village of Bedford Park. Bring your business home to Bedford Park and win big. Purchase your tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME.
In this situation, Jose now has seen that curveball, realize it's really tough to hit. He's got to try to jump on the first fastball he sees.
Abreu rocks it. Deep left field. What he wanted, he got, and it's gone. A 3-run shot.
First ball, fastball, and gone. That makes it a whole lot more interesting at 4-3. Jose with 19 home runs. He's driven in 66. He was ready to jump on the first pitch, and the curveball out of the equation. A Ford home run replay. First ball, fastball, and gone.
That baseball was absolutely destructed. And with that home run, another generous donation for the Alex Snellius family in loving memory of Ursula. Oh my.
The big man in the middle got it done because he is the premier run producer on this team and one of the premier run producers in all of baseball.
Now Moncada tags it to center field. Zimmer is back at the warning track and makes the catch. The countryman nearly went back-to-back, but the Sox will take the 3 from the elder statesman. Abreu goes deep against Kluber, and it's 4-3. For providing our retro microphones tonight, and these are lovely, lovely microphones. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you from 1917. Our prize shelf travels back in time as well.
It did, and we have a certainly a well-oiled gnome that's up here, but he's overseeing everything, so you can't have him. But the Tim Raines bobbleheads, the statue's beautiful. That's something you might want to add to your collection, assuming you can get the right answer.
Well, assuming you have an abacus at home that you'd like to do Sox math with today. It's 1917 Sox math. There's what you can win. Gonzalez versus Gonzalez. Ball and a strike on Eric Gonzalez. Bill Ostrey, by the way, and his microphones might need to apprehend me after the game if I accidentally stick this in my pocket.
You like that one a lot, and that's good. These the sound is very good.
Thanks, Bill. Don't call the police if it disappears.
And they're really nice looking.
It's very similar to the microphone you used when you first started out broadcasting.
Yeah, I've never really used the headset until later on. Certainly my first year of broadcasting, which was back in the 1920s, we used all mics like this. Wonderfully done, by the way.
On the ground left of second base, Moncada reaching over. Oh my goodness, what a play!
Just an outstanding effort. Yoan Moncada was practically at shortstop when he made this flip from the side. It's the only play that he had. What's amazing about it is not the range. He's got that. Is the accuracy. Floating to his right, drifting toward third base. He got it there in plenty of time. And that's the only throw he had. It's right there. Just an outstanding effort.
Moncada to Abreu for out number 1 here in the 4th inning. There's a bunt right side of the mound past Gonzalez. Moncada again. Oh, no way! Come on now! 2 in a row.
When people talk about Yoan Moncada, everybody wants to talk about his bat. They want to talk about his speed. But the biggest improvement in his game has come on the defensive side. This is a great bunt. Only one play Yoan has. He flips it across, and they got him, and they got him easily. And Zimmer can run. This is just a great effort. Back-to-back highlight reel plays by Yoan Moncada. And again, he went down, worked very hard on his defense, because that was a question mark when he came over to the organization. It seems to not be a question mark any longer.
He said he wants to be called Yo-Yo. He just went around the world and walked the dog. Back-to-back plays.
Well, just 2 outstanding efforts. I mean, you're not going to see plays like that very often, and yet to see them back-to-back is most amazing.
Two down. I'd hit it somewhere else.
For Lindor, that's probably the game plan.
Sack bunt in the first, single to right in the third, and a run scored. Up high with a fastball, ball and a strike. We talked to Mark Grudzielanek, the Charlotte manager, a couple of months ago prior to Moncada coming up to the majors, and he said that Moncada's evolution defensively was significant even so far this year.
Well, what they had to work on him with, and they did, is footwork. Because if you're going to be a top of the line second baseman, you've got to take a throw from either the third baseman or the shortstop and make that pivot and get away, get the throw off, even if there's contact. And it takes good footwork.
It's a pretty good bat handler right there. Lindor on 2 strikes, staying alive.
There's really nothing that he can't do. And the Indians have found themselves a shortstop for a long, long time.
Right back up the middle. Gonzalez secures this one. And the White Sox, with the impenetrable infield defense here in the 4th inning, Yoan Moncada, the range first, a brilliant play, and the follow-up was just as nice with the flip for out number 2.
Sunday on CSN. White Sox number 7 prospect Lucas Giolito will get the start for the Knights as they face the Scranton Rail Riders. Coverage begins at 7 on CSN or stream live at csnchicago.com/watch live on the NBC Sports app.
And how often do you see it? The guy who makes the brilliant defensive plays at the top of the inning bats 9th in the bottom of the inning.
That happens seemingly all the time.
At least 11%. Davidson down a couple of strikes.
In the meantime, that young man is going to be here for a long time. And those 2 plays back to back were about as good of infield plays as you're going to see.
But the reaction, right? The reaction on the field and off by Moncada was, all right, got him.
He's a supremely talented athlete who had his defense not come along as quickly as at bat. But we're seeing the results of all of the work put in the minor leagues. And, well, you can see it. It's been brilliant.
That's strike 3 on Davidson. So Kluber back to the strikeout ledger with number 7, just 22 years old. Yohan Moncada. And I think Willie Garcia was enjoying the defensive theatrics even more than the guy who did them.
Well, there's a whole lot of folks that will tell you that offense, notably home runs, are as exciting as anything in the game. But good, in this case, great defense is wonderfully exciting. And those are plays that you're not going to see duplicated too often.
Simply the athletic skill that it takes to do both those things, and they're different skill sets as well for each play there.
Yeah, certainly one was the range and a good flip to get it there. The other, just a backhand flip.
There was a time, by the way, when Darryl Boston would have tried to make that play.
That ship has sailed.
Debo got his golf clubs out earlier today. He's decided to pass on the foul balls.
Yeah, that is a large man. First base coach of the Sox, Darryl Boston.
A very good man. Always a fun guy to talk to. To second base, and Gonzalez for out number 2. Here's your Sox math question for tonight. We don't have Twitter, so use a self-addressed stamped envelope and send it to Guaranteed Rate Field, care of Sox Math. First correct answer in a couple days wins a prize off the prize shelf. Most home runs hit by any one member of the 17 White Sox, 1917, plus the number of U.S. states in 1917. You can use Twitter if you want to, but it would be funny if we got a flood of self-addressed stamped envelopes.
Yes, and you know, you would win in 10 days when they got here. Congratulations.
How would you decide who the first one was? Would we have to stamp them as they came in? Is there a way to do that? You were on the Pony Express once, weren't you?
I think that probably is the best way to do it.
Reinstate the Pony Express for Sox math? Seems a little costly.
Costly and tough on the horse.
How many horse jokes do you have today?
I was just wondering what the Dash were doing as you and I are sitting here talking about 1917.
Mrs. Dash?
Yeah.
The Winston-Salem Dash. Well, Winston-Salem's trailing 3-0. And
a no-hitter.
No-hitter for Lynchburg. How about that? Saw Lucas Giolito with a no-hitter for AAA Charlotte earlier this year.
A whole lot of talent down in the Sox minor league system. Whether it's low A or up to AAA, there's as much talent now maybe there ever was in the Sox organization. Now, will they pan out? Nobody really knows, but there's some supremely talented athletes that have been traded over from various organizations, and with enough of them, and the Sox do have a whole lot of them, if 25–30% work out, this team is going to be a very difficult team to beat starting in 19 and 20.
Up the middle into center field. Base hit for Alan Hansen with 2 out in the 4th. Friday, August 11th, rock and roll night, presented by Guaranteed Rate. The Sox take on the Royals, 7:10 p.m. Join us as we rock out to live cover bands before and during the game. Plus, be sure to stay for the post-game fireworks show. To purchase tickets, WhiteSox.com. In Class A, Kannapolis. You mentioned some of the guys that came over via trade. Jake Berger, who was the first-round pick for the White Sox this year, had his second straight 3-hit game in yesterday's game against Lexington, a 7-0 win. He's got 5 3-hit games since joining the Kannapolis Intimidators.
He has a 5-hit game also. So the young man, known for his power, is proving to be a pretty good hitter, as well as having enormous power.
There's a ball to Anderson, who flied out to center back in the 3rd. Sox have their 3 runs thanks to a home run from Jose Abreu, a 3-run shot with 2 out in the 3rd off of Corey Kluber. Hansen's off. Throw to second is not in time. Kicking around. It's a stolen base for Alan Hansen.
Nice job of Gomes to get it down there. He didn't have a whole lot on the throw, not by his standards. But Hansen in. We'll watch it again. Tough ball to handle. And Gomes cannot keep it in the air all the way. And then off the left elbow of Alan Hansen. And he's in scoring position, representing the tying run.
Alan Hansen trying to make the Cleveland lead disappear. It's 4-3 here in the 4th. And Anderson with a foul ball, 1-2.
One thing you have to be sure of with Kluber is you don't allow the front shoulder to fly open. If Tim does that, he's going to lose all kind of coverage middle out. And that plays right into the hands of Corey Kluber, who uses that spot for most of his wipeout pitches. Whether it's the cutter, the occasional slider, or the curveball, it's usually all low and away.
Hasn't gone out there yet against Anderson. Looks like he's going to here. And the world may never know.
That's the most. The 3 runs, the most that Kluber's given up in the last 11 starts.
And by the way, he's not been to a 3-ball count all night. .31-year-old right-hander Corey Kluber. Hansen at second, 2 balls, 2 strikes to Anderson. And Tim lays off. And the Indians get a fortunate break with the ball hitting Reynolds, the plate umpire.
Yeah, if that ball doesn't hit him, it caromed right off of Gomes, hit Reynolds, and then stayed essentially in play. Because normally this one shoots one way or the other, and Hansen's standing on third, and who knows from there. So that cutter misses. It flattens out under the glove of Gomes. Hit him and then Reynolds. And no advancement by Hansen.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Hansen a big lead at second. He's running, and a swing and a miss by Anderson. Strikeout number 8 for Kluber, and he works his way out of trouble in the 4th. Sox are down a run after 4 tonight.
brought to you by Miller Lite.
4-3 your score. The Indians with the lead thanks to a 3-run third inning and one more in the second. Sox have all of their runs on a Jose Abreu 3-run home run, and Michael Brantley sends this one in the air to right center field, and Michael Brantley on a bounce gets it up and over on a bounce into the right field stands. It looked like, is that ball gone, Steve?
I thought it bounced. I thought it bounced, and we'll have to take another look at it. Ricky wants him to take a look. I think he believes it bounced. You and I both believe it bounced. I think Alan Hansen believes it bounced, only because it bounced. We'll take another look. It falls well short of the wall and then bounces out. I'm not exactly sure how the boys in blue called that one a home run, but it will not stand.
This will be the shortest replay in American history. This is officially a White Sox challenge. They will keep the challenge, as that ball was a ground rule double, or book rule double very specifically.
Well, the fans now reacting to the replay on the scoreboard, and it is indeed 2 bases. One of the least dramatic of challenges we've seen. So Brantley breaks it down here and figures, you know what, maybe they'll miss the call, so I'll just keep on trotting around until somebody stops me.
And to those of you out in TV land who have said in the past we don't need instant replay, take it back. That's the play we want it for.
20th double, but Brantley was trying to sell the home run to no avail.
So now Encarnacion, what a sheepish fox-like smile from Brantley around second base.
Hey, you might as well go for it. Ball was out of play, can't be tagged out, so maybe nobody will have seen it, was the thought of Michael Brantley, but of course that didn't come to pass.
Maybe in 1917 that would have happened, but all these here cameras we got caught you. Brantley. It's like the guy who had been to every Super Bowl and never had paid for a ticket. You just act like you're going there and nobody's going to stop you.
Well, they didn't stop him, but they did call him back. And again, I'm kind of surprised that one even took as long as it did.
Professional turnstile jumper Michael Brantley with a double to lead off the 5th.
Boy, Brantley has been just a solid player for these Cleveland Indians. When you think about it, for Brantley, he played just 11 games last year. Had all kind of shoulder issues, had a couple of different surgeries on it. And this year back 100%. The power number's down a bit, but not all that much when you consider how much time he missed. But he's just a terrific player, and their outfield defense is much better when Brantley plays.
Most he's ever hit is 20 home runs in a season. That came back in his All-Star year 2014. He was 3rd in the MVP voting that season, but the career slash line averaged on base and slugging 292, 350, 423.
Pretty good. And he's just a solid player in every aspect of the game.
Brantley at second, 2-2 for Encarnacion. And time called by Narvaez. Swing and a miss for strike 3. Gonzalez with his 2nd strikeout of the game. It comes of Encarnacion. And here is your Sox Math answer for today. Happy Felsch had 6 home runs in 1917 to lead the team. 48 U.S. states in 1917. 54 is your answer. And one of Steve's henchmen, Canasti 11, is your winner today.
Ooh. Very nice. Getting that was pretty good.
He's your fast gun, right? Canasti 11?
Close to it, yeah.
Uh-huh. Your body man. Here's Jose Ramirez to take a strike.
And we're getting ever closer to the trading deadline, and there are a whole lot of teams that still want to make a definitive move. The Yankees, one of those teams. The rumor is they're after Sonny Gray. And Oakland is after either Torres or Frazier, their top two prospects. The Yankees have said they're not going to part with either of those guys. So we'll see if Gray winds up in Yankee pinstripes.
Glasses down. Well, how did that go about happening? Go after the ball and drop your sunglasses? They kicked pretty far out onto the field, though.
It's still very bright.
Called strike three. Ramirez punched out very close to the corner. Back-to-back Ks for Gonzalez.
Jim Reynolds thought it was good enough. You saw where Omar wanted it. Good late movement, and he rings him up.
Well, after the start against Kershaw, I was talking to Kevin Smith about Gonzalez's stuff, and his response was basically, if he's going to have that much run on his fastball, we're going to keep going to it. Santana takes a little bit high, ball one.
Sonny Gray's start, which is supposed to be today, was pushed back to Monday, which would lead you to believe that not only the Yankees, but a few teams are interested in arguably, if not the best starting pitcher out there who's available. He's right up among the best that are available now.
Be very interesting to see what Texas decides to do with Yu Darvish as well. I mean, he's done with the Rangers after this year in terms of a contract, and you'd imagine he's available. It just depends upon the asking price.
And another thing that will slow that deal down is the list that Darvish has of teams that he won't go to contractually. When that happens, either you're going to hold out for a great deal more money, or you're just going to turn them down and say, I'm not going. We saw that with Lucroy and the Indians last year. They were one of the teams on his list where he wouldn't go, and then he asked them a couple of things because the deal was worked out personnel wise. That deal was worked out, and he asked him, one, will you make me the starting catcher, or will you come off the option for this season? The Indians said no to both. He wound up in Texas, and the Indians are going to be, I think, pretty happy they didn't make the deal for a couple of different reasons. Number one is Mejia, the catcher, who didn't go and was slated to go in that deal.
About a, what was it, 51 game hit streak last year for Francisco Mejia in the minors?
I think it was 50, but you're talking about a switch hitter, a catcher with ability to hit the ball well from either side of the plate. That's a guy that I think the Indians want to keep around for a bit. They were willing to pay the price last year. I don't think they're willing to pay that price this year.
Lucroy, in fact, may be one of the players to go at the deadline. There's some talk of Texas moving him as well, as Narvaez goes out to talk to Miguel Gonzalez. And speaking of hit streaks, by the way, for the White Sox, in the minors, Jake Peter, the infielder who was drafted in the 7th round 3 years ago, is currently on an 18-game hit streak between AA in Birmingham and AAA in Charlotte, where he's been promoted. He's out of Creighton in lovely Omaha. And there's the ice cream of the future here in somewhere between 1917 and 2017.
She certainly is enjoying that, and why not?
Inside ball four. Santana's on for the 3rd time this evening. Sox fans, don't miss the White Sox signature podcast, The Cycle. Comedian and Chicagoan Pat McGann, along with a rotating group of co-hosts, chats with athletes and celebrities about sports, life, and everything in between. Subscribe via your podcast app today. maybe subscribing right now via the App Store. Two on, two out, Austin Jackson. On the ground, Anderson at shortstop. Tim on a running throw has out number 3, 2 stranded. 4-3 your score. Back in 1917, we didn't have so many things. Crossword puzzles, iced tea, and canned beer. Just put your mouth underneath the spigot. Have a drink. Mr. Monopoly, thank you very much. Appreciate it, Chuck.
4-3 your score. He's looking stylish.
Uncle Pennybags Garfine.
Yeah.
I didn't know Chuck was a bowler.
Oh, he's exceptional. Yes. Wonderful bowler. Candle pins.
So, you ever gone duck pin bowling?
I don't think so.
You use essentially like a skee ball.
Do you use a duck?
No, you don't use a duck.
Oh, okay.
There would be some groups after you. It's smaller pins and like a skee ball. That one got inside on angle, a ball and 2 strikes. Chuck looked like he was just pulled off the set of the Thomas Crown Affair.
Very stylish look for our Chuck.
Did they have that to drink back in 1917? Or did they just skip the lemonade?
Yeah, pretty much that was it. It's too much lemonade in this lemonade.
2-2 for Engel. Then Cabrera and Sanchez here in the 5th. Corey Kluber on 2-2, and Engel was wise to the outside corner game.
You'd love to have Adam on base with his speed to lead off the inning in this 1-run game.
He was hit by a pitch back in the 3rd. Angled in the air to left field. Brantley for out number 1. Before 1917, on this date, it was a very important day, July the 29th. Rube Waddell's 16 strikeouts against Philadelphia's Athletics. Smokey Joe Wood with 12 punchouts. And Honus Wagner with an inside the park grand slam. back in 1915.
That's difficult to do.
What was it like to face Honus Wagner?
No, he was really good. Small strike zone.
Told by Dave Ross that's actually our edition of Sticks and Stone today. You versus Honus Wagner. Melky slices this ball into left field, and a base hit for Melky Cabrera. He is 3 for 3, and okay, so we know the contract is part of the trade deadline issue, and the reason there's not a whole lot of talk about Melky Cabrera. He's 3 for 3 against Corey Kluber tonight.
Melky has always hit Kluber well, and there are not a lot of people can say that. There are any number of teams looking at Melky, and then it becomes a question of how much money do you want to spend of his contract, depending on the prospect you want to give up. Yolmer's had a tough time of it so far.
7 pitches, 2 strikeouts, and Yolmer figures it out. A volley to center field, 2 straight on, and Abreu coming up.
Yolmer waits back. This was a cutter. Kluber tried to get it low and in. This one had a piece of the plate, and Yolmer takes it right back up the middle. You think Kluber is going to go at Jose with a first ball fastball again?
I don't know that would be the best tactical decision that Corey's ever made.
Yeah, probably not.
Last time it turned into a 3-run homer that got out in a blink. Like a cutter for strike one.
Little cutter in perfect spot on the outside corner. Career against Kluber, the big man. Hitting .333, 4 home runs. And when you take a look at the various Cy Young Award winners that Jose has faced, he really gets up for that challenge because he's hurt some of the former Cy Young Award winners.
Down 0-2 here with 1 down in the 5th.
Southpaw, very much in the middle of things, and he's got that beautiful uniform on. Wonder if there was a little paw around 1917 somewhere.
Well, he only turned 13 this year.
Yes, but some of his extended family have been all over the place.
Is that right?
Oh yeah.
Is he related to Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster?
Yeah, on his mother's side.
Two strikes on Abreu. I think Southpaw may come up here before the night's over.
Oh no.
Explain his genealogy or greeneology, if you will.
I'm still using the Paw's toothbrushes, by the way. Wonderful addition to the prize shelf they were.
I want to keep that one under wraps. 0-2. Abreu fouls it off.
That time he went up and out of the strike zone trying to hit that ball to right center field. And many times run producers will do that because your best run producers don't always swing at strikes to get the job done. And here's Jose and a pitch that's up and out of the zone, going up and trying to hit it to right field.
No balls and 2 strikes. Cabrera at second, Sanchez at first. Up and out. Just a lovely night for baseball here at Guaranteed Rate Field and our fair city.
It's been just gorgeous weather, something that you couldn't possibly predict toward the end of July. Having these days with the temperature in the low 70s, gorgeous.
1-2. And he got him swinging. Strike 3, strikeout number 9 for Corey Kluber. And it's up to Moncada here in the 5th.
Since Kluber's come back off the DL, he's averaging in the neighborhood of 14 strikeouts per 9 innings. And with stuff like that, you can understand how he's able to do it. So with the trade deadline coming and just about every team looking for help out of the bullpen, the name of Brad Hand is talked about quite a bit. He's a reliever with San Diego, and the Nationals are in hot pursuit. They already did some things to shore up their pen, but a left-hander with the stuff of Brad Hand, you don't find too often. That's why so many teams are interested. So I think San Diego will move him. Now it's what am I bid?
Nationals just dealt for Howie Kendrick as well to add to their bench. Yohan Moncada takes strike number 1. 2 exceptional defensive plays in a row for Moncada in the 4th inning against Gonzalez and Zimmer of Cleveland. One and one from Corey Kluber, whose pitch count is up to 80 now. 93 up high, 1-2. Normally you'd look and say, okay, 81 pitches, let's knock Kluber out of the game, but Cleveland's bullpen is full of dangerous guys.
Yeah, that's certainly one of the bullpens you don't like to rush to get the starter out, because not every starter has the stuff of Corey Kluber. Most of them have a lot worse stuff.
Most all humans have worse stuff.
And getting in that bullpen is normally a good thing to do. Not so much with the Tribe, as their pen has been something special all year long. That is Andrew Miller making some shoe adjustments.
Kluber versus Moncada. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Melky at second, Yolmer at first. 2-2. And he takes strike 3. Close pitch. Kluber got it. Strikeout number 10. And we'll play the 6th after this.
MasterCard debit card, only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/Sox to learn more. Wintrust Community Bank, member FDIC.
Lovely night and a throwback game here in 2017. We go back to 1917. Sox the first team to do a turn back the clock night. And some rich history here with the White Sox. First pitch, a strike to Yan Gomes, who is the son-in-law of former Sox pitcher Atlee Hammaker. Yan Gomes met Atlee Hammaker's daughter at the University of Tennessee, as the story goes. And as you might expect, because of the life on the road, Atlee Hammaker's advice to his daughter was, you know, I know you love the game of baseball, but don't date a baseball player.
That worked well.
Yeah, you're gonna lose your husband for half the year. And well, she and Yan Gomes hit it off, and turned out they eventually got married. But yeah, Yan Gomes is the son-in-law of former Sox pitcher Atlee Hammaker, who finished his career with the Sox back in 1995. Ball and 2 strikes on Gomes. It is a pretty tough schedule to build a family around, at least in season, the baseball season.
That one got a piece of Omar, and hopefully he's okay. Not nice for one catcher to do this to another catcher. Got him off the right arm. If you're going to go back there and catch at any level, you better be a tough guy, because you're going to take a beating.
Laced foul, still 1-2. Tougher position, hockey goalie or baseball catcher? I'll get your answer in a second. Dylan Cease, the starter, 5 innings in Kannapolis today. 2 earned runs, 2-0 the final for the Lexington Legends, but Berger goes 1 for 3 again. Cease takes the loss, but he did pitch fairly well. 5 innings and 2 earned runs. Cease over from the Cubs in the Jose Quintana deal. Catcher or hockey goalie? Tougher position to play.
I think they're both really tough. I think when there was no mask, the hockey goalies, it was a tougher spot to be in. It's still not an easy position, and you do take a beating.
I mean, in hockey, the goal is actually to get the puck to go around you, but they do want to hit you fairly hard with it. As Gomes in the air left side, Anderson can't find it. Melky is on it. And 1 away in the 6th inning. In baseball, at least, the idea is to throw it to your glove every time. Nobody's actually trying to be punitive with the object.
And one of the big differences, though, I think what makes the catcher's position tougher is you have a good night in hockey. They might, shoot 35, 40 times at you on a good night. Yet the catcher's back there, and he's going to deal with 150 pitches. A lot of them in the dirt. You get the ball fouled off parts of your anatomy and generally take a beating.
A lot of stress on the arm, too. You're throwing it back to the mound every time the pitcher's throwing it to you.
And the pen is up. It's Aaron Bummer.
This would be his 2nd outing as a White Sox pitcher, Bummer, after throwing Thursday night against the Cubs with his family in attendance.
Gonzalez broke his bat. So it's a good time to tell you exactly how the game was played, pretty close to its inception in the 1880s, 1860s, when the barnstorming Cincinnati Red Stockings went around the country playing various teams. And a couple of different rule changes. Number one, if you caught a pop-up on the bounce, the hitter was out. So that certainly shortened up the at-bats, as well as some other different rules. When it started, pitchers could not throw anything but sidearm. They couldn't throw overhand. And you would declare when you went to bat if you wanted high or low. Low, below the waist. High, above the waist. And then the umpire would warn you before he called a pitch. So if you say, I want the ball low, and a pitch comes in thigh high in the strike zone, the umpire would warn you. And after the warning, it would be 4 balls and 3 strikes. As well as the fact that catchers were not in the neighborhood of the hitter because he had no mask.
The right field side, Hansen toward the corner, and Alan Hansen runs out of room. That was not the heyday of catchers.
No, especially where they had to set up.
Took till 1885 that chest protectors came into use.
As far back as they were in the 1860s, they didn't need a mask, didn't need a chest protector.
Inside, drop that bat. Gonzalez skates out of danger, 3-2.
This came very close to putting him on first base, but he was able to get out of the way of it.
Three balls, 2 strikes. Popped it up first base side, and out of play it goes. Hey, Elvis Night, Friday, August 25th at Guaranteed Rate Field. Join us in remembering the king of rock and roll as the Sox take on the Tigers, 7:10 p.m. Stay for a post-game fireworks show. Visit whitesox.com to get your tickets today. And with the tickets, you get 1 for the money and 2 for the show.
Oh, sorry, I just took a quick nap. Was it? Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
And 3.
To get ready.
And
go.
Bye.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just go. 3 balls and 2 strikes on Gonzalez. Pitch number 104 for Miguel is tipped into the glove of Narvaez. Strike 3.
Miguel had the tough 3rd inning, and after that, he's put some zeros up on the board. This is a good cutter. Gonzalez made some contact, but it stuck in Omar's glove. And that's 4 strikeouts.
After none in yesterday's game for Cleveland. So Miguel Gonzalez, who off the disabled list, has been very good for the Sox. 2 starts. He went punch for punch with Kershaw in the first start, then beat the Cubs at Wrigley Field on Monday. Bradley Zimmer, who was robbed of a bunt hit by Yohan Moncada back in the 4th inning. On the ground to first, Abreu whirls and finds Gonzalez. Miguel safely through 6. It's a 1-run game. Sox trying to tie it or take the lead. Matt Davidson's first after this. presented by Miller Lite, is Ballpark Pub. To see the complete list of the CSN bars of the game presented by Miller Lite, visit csnchicago.com. A half moon tonight as our game wanes to the 6th. We take this night every night for the entire summer.
Then you would be in San Diego trying to get Brad Hand traded to you.
I don't know that that's how trades have to work nowadays. Maybe back in 1917 you flew to San Diego, but we have text messaging now.
Yeah, that would be a good plan.
2 strikes on Davidson. It is amazing, though, how trades have changed. I mean, previously, just 20 years ago, you got to be in your office or with your bag phone. And now, from anywhere, Rick Hahn can be texting other general managers. There's strike 3. 11 strikeouts for Kluber tonight, and 1 away for Narvaez.
A sweeping breaking ball, this of the slider variety, and he got some depth on it, way off the plate. Matt could not check it up and goes down on strikes for the 3rd time.
6 at bats for Davidson against Kluber, 6 strikeouts. That's in his career. And the 10+ strikeout brigade continues for Corey Kluber. He is so consistent, and that's part of the reason. I mean, his personality and just his drive. Another part that he's gained nicknames from Klubot more recently to Klubenstein when he was in the minors.
Sox bullpen up and going. It's Tyler Clippard.
Ball and a strike to Omar, and time called. We do have America's fastest growing sensation to get to here in the 6th, Sticks and Stone, where we quiz Steve about his own career and sometimes decades that he wasn't a part of, because old jokes are funny.
True.
Here is your question for tonight, Mr. Stone. Which Indians player struck out 3 times in your first start in Cleveland? Gamble, Duncan, Chambliss. What you got?
Well, I don't believe it was Chris Chambliss. That leaves Dave Duncan and Oscar Gamble. Duncan being a right-hander. Normally, I would go right to Dave Duncan. But I'm not sure if I faced him all that many times. So I will say Oscar Gamble.
You're going to say Oscar Gamble. It's strikeout number 12 for Kluber, by the way, here in the 6th. And that brings up Alan Hansen. So you're gonna go Oscar Gamble.
Yeah.
All the marbles are on the line tonight.
No. A small amount of marbles.
5 marbles?
Yeah, assuming the shooter is one of them, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shooter McGavin.
That's him.
Hansen. First pitch swinging, rips it to right field, and on a hop, that ball gets to the wall. Alan Hansen into second base with a 2-out double.
Alan is 2 for 3 tonight, and there's the tying run out at second base. That time the cutter didn't do anything, just stayed right in the middle of the plate. He was able to whack it to right field and hustling into second base.
This is the second time now that Alan Hansen has been at second base with 2 out for Tim Anderson. See if Anderson can get that dear 4th run in to tie the game in the person of Alan Hansen. There's strike 1. Here's your sticks and stone answer. Steve guessed Oscar Gamble. Let's see. Aww.
It was my only right-handed option, and I went away from it.
You gotta dance with the one you brought.
Yeah. As it turns out, you're right.
Anderson in the air, right-hand side. Jackson on the run. Austin Jackson can't make the play. It's down. It's fair. It's tied. Anderson does the trick.
Good effort by Austin Jackson, but he came up short. RBI number 29. And this is a slider low and away. Jackson makes a good attempt at it. And just can't catch up to it. Hit the bottom part of the glove, clearly in fair territory. And just like that, it's a new game, tied at 4.
So Tim Anderson, now 4 for 12 career against Corey Kluber, has tied the game in the 6th. It's up to Engel, who takes strike 1.
Adam hit it very well last time after he was hit by a pitch in the 3rd and scored a run.
That was on Abreu's 3-run homer, which took the Sox from down 4-0 to 4-3. Lindor at short. Engel can run. Lindor does get out number 3, but the Sox tie the game. Hansen a double. Anderson a double. Deadlocked at 4 to the 7th we go.
Performance in action.
Tie game, and a ragtime band is actually just a ragtag band. Our camera folks who do such a wonderful job celebrating 1917, and I think by those hats, they are part of my barbershop quartet. We have matching hats. You were not part of that. You're more on the coal black hat run. I think the only thing I won in was the hat department today.
It's a fine looking hat.
Yeah.
Not exactly a bowler, but it's close.
Yours is a bowler.
Howdy, sir. Oh, this is not a Western hat.
No, this is not hee-haw, but thanks for playing. Was hee-haw in black and white?
Oh, absolutely. Just the he was. Anyway, we got a new pitcher. It's Tyler Clippard who comes in the game. Yeah.
Clippard in for Miguel Gonzalez, who goes 6 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. Tie game. It's up to the bullpen. And Clippard, who joined the Sox as part of that deal that sent David Robertson, Tommy Kahnle, and Todd Frazier to New York.
Well, in a 4-4 game, you want to keep the score there. You make sure that Lindor doesn't get on base. He's got some thunder up behind him.
That one clips the inside corner, 1-1. It's Brantley and Encarnacion to follow, then Jose Ramirez after Lindor. Not that there's a part of this order that you'd like to really reside in, but if you're going to choose, it wouldn't be these guys.
No, and you would choose to keep Lindor off base. He swiped 5 bases, been caught 1 time. So Terry Francona doesn't run him a great deal, but when he does, he's very effective at it. The Indians as a team have swiped 53 bases. They've been caught 18 times, which is a good number.
1-2, and as we saw from Clippard, whether it be with the Yankees or so far in his Sox career, the changeup is really the pitch that makes him go.
He's got good arm action, good release point with the changeup, and he throws a whole lot of them.
Back to Clippard. Moncada does not have a play, and Lindor is on to lead off the 7th.
When pitchers cannot field their position, you open the door for the opposition, and that's exactly the case. You are the 5th infielder when you release the baseball. This is softly hit. You've got to be able to smother that. Now you have a very fast man representing the go-ahead run at first base. You got to get in front, and if it does bounce up, you take it off the body and throw him out. Playing it off to the side doesn't work all that well.
Let's see what Terry Francona has in mind. Brantley at the plate after a double in the 5th. Lindor on at first. And Clippard checks on Francisco Lindor. Especially when you have Lindor up on his non-dominant side. He is better as a right-hand hitter in terms of batting average than he is a left-hand hitter. You get him to bounce, and now he's on base with some speed, and with Brantley up, it's not ideal. Another throw, and he was a little bit late in reacting.
Talking with Sandy Alomar. There's a look at Sandy. Terrific catcher during his time. Has had a number of interviews to manage a baseball team, just has not been chosen yet. It's not because of his baseball acumen, because he was one of the smarter players around.
Lindor holds, and Brantley in the air and foul. Indians have won 8 in a row coming into tonight. They've upped their record to 56-45. Kansas City entering play tonight 2 games back in the American League Central, but trailing Boston in the bottom of the 5th, 5-4. Royals were up in that game 4-2. Boston has come back to lead 5-4. Terry Francona's former home, where the Sox will go next week. By the way, tomorrow's game, another Coca-Cola Family Sunday, 1:10 start time, will be on WGN. Josh Tomlin, Carlos Rodon, and then Toronto's in town. Ball and a strike to Brantley. Lindor at first. Another throw. Lindor wearing one of those protective gloves over at third, or he has plans to get a tray of muffins out of the oven.
6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Half dozen muffins and what? Half dozen crescent rolls?
Something like that.
Ball to strike. Another throw to first. One ball, one strike. Brantley a sac fly in the third, part of a 3-run inning for Cleveland. Sox just tied the game in the home 6th. Lindor holds, and Brantley another foul just over the net.
Another straight change, and that one probably a little higher than he would have liked. Brantley with good speeds, only grounded into 7 double plays this year.
Former 7th round pick of the Brewers back in 2005. Made his major league debut 8 seasons ago now. Lindor at first, 1-2. There goes the runner, and that ball is swung on and missed for strike 3. Lindor gets to second base, so it's essentially a bunt. A stolen base is number 6 for Lindor.
It's a changeup. It's down in a good spot. Tough pitch to handle, even if he catches it cleanly with that jump. Don't think you're going to throw out Lindor, who's only been gunned down 1 time this year.
So now we saw yesterday the Sox walked Encarnacion to get to Ramirez, and then Jose Ramirez stroked a 2-run single. So Encarnacion's going to bat. Clippard will not bypass him. And ball number 1. '93 strikeouts for Encarnacion this year. 1 coming in the 5th with a runner at second and nobody out. There's a changeup. 1 ball, 1 strike. Lindor reached on the error, then stole second base on the Brantley strikeout. One and 1. Encarnacion a wild cut, 1-2. I don't know that Encarnacion is in heavy favor of changeups.
No, most prolific run producers want to see that fastball, and they're not going to see a hittable fastball from Clippard too often.
Lindor at second. He is the lead run. And in the dirt, blocked by Narvaez. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The Sox in the home 7th will have the top of the order. Melky Cabrera, Yolmer Sanchez, Jose Abreu. In what they hope to be a 4-all tie. Two and 2. Up high. There's a fastball well out of the zone. So 3 balls, 2 strikes. And you wouldn't imagine, in terms of risk reward, that Encarnacion would get anything of a give-in pitch here.
He's most likely going to get a straight change. That is the premier pitch for Tyler Clippard.
3-2. Outside ball 4. 2 on, 1 out for Ramirez. MLB.com at Bat is your #1 mobile app for live White Sox baseball. Stay connected with a fully customizable experience. Get White Sox home screen icons and app features, as well as game day, live game video highlights, radio broadcasts, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat today. Two on, 1 out, Ramirez. And he has had the opposite side of the coin so far tonight after a 4-hit night last night. Called ball 1. Ramirez a ground ball to first, a foul pop to first, and a strikeout in the 5th.
I'll feel pretty much straight away for a man who does hit the ball all over.
One and one on Ramirez, with Santana and his very discerning eye on deck. Any scenario where the bases are loaded after Ramirez here is not a positive one, which goes without saying, but even more so with Santana, the next guy. Ball and a strike. Inside. Six innings from Miguel Gonzalez. Cleveland starter Corey Kluber is still in the game. Two balls and a strike on Ramirez.
One of the things that Tyler's going to have to look at, Tim Anderson was standing on second base when that ball was delivered. He went to try to get in back of Lindor. He did that, but Tyler was not looking at him. Delivered that pitch with nobody home on the left side of the infield. Not a good habit to get into.
You want to glance back before you throw
and figure out where your shortstop's going to be, because if he's standing on the bag, you got to step off.
3-1. Swing and a miss. A high changeup. 3 balls, 2 strikes. And Narvaez now with some signals from out in front of home plate. First and second, 1 down. Back-to-back 2-out doubles in the bottom of the 6th tied the game. Clippard trying to keep it there. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Ramirez in the air. Short center field. Anderson waves for it, and there's out number 2.
And as soon as Tim was able to square up facing the infield under that pop-up, Clint Fagan called infield fly rule, so runners can still advance, but they advance, as they say, at their own peril.
So 2 down. Santana coming up. Adrian Beltre, by the way, tonight with 1 hit, so he is 1 shy of 3,000. Saw a probability. This is not maybe the best use of probability, but Beltre coming into the day was like 99.86% chance to get to 3,000 hits. Great, thanks.
Might even be a little bit higher than that.
Yeah. Maybe. It's up to Santana,
who is yet to be retired.
Walk in the 2nd, single to right in the 3rd, walk in the 5th for Santana. Strike one. Lindor reached on the error, stole second. Brantley struck out. Encarnacion walked, and now time called by Santana. Austin Jackson scheduled next, then Yan Gomes. Santana lays off. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cleveland winners of 8 straight.
Sox pen up and going.
.22 pitches already for Clippard.
It is Jake Petrichka. Only man in that bullpen that was with the ball club out of spring training.
Injuries to Nate Jones and Zach Putnam. Trades of just about everybody else. Mentioned Cleveland winning 8 in a row. 11 over is the high water mark so far for the Indians this year. Cleveland plus 19 against the American League as well. 51-32. 5-13 in interleague play. And Narvaez talking to Clippard, his relatively new pitcher.
Well, he's probably talking about slowing it down a touch.
Two balls and a strike. In the dirt, bouncing away from Narvaez. Lindor to third, Encarnacion to second.
That will probably go as a wild pitch, although it's one of those pitches that Omar probably should have stopped. It is a wild pitch. Now, he was set up on the outside corner. He had to go all the way back across the plate to try to knock that one down and couldn't get it done. So it is justifiably so a wild pitch.
Clippard, the veteran right-hander, on a long look in. 3-1 to Santana. Overshift on to pull, and Santana takes ball 4. He's been on 4 times tonight. The bases are loaded for Cleveland in the 7th inning, and here comes Don Cooper.
So Don with a little chat on the mound, and Jim Reynolds is taking a slow walk to the mound to break it up.
And that will do it for the conference. You did say last night Chicago's a big convention city.
Yes.
Pitcher's Mound has become the convention center of Major League Baseball.
Everybody wants to be in to listen to what pearls of wisdom Don Cooper wants to impart. He might be suggesting to throw the ball.
Bases loaded for Jackson. In the air, left side. Melky Cabrera, inning over. Much Ado About Nothing. And our 1917 telecast rolls on. In 1917, you can get a car for $360, a house for $63.13. And look, you could have 2 cars a year, but you wouldn't be very clean doing it. Melky Cabrera leads off the home 7th, and Corey Kluber misfires ball 1. Kluber 12 strikeouts, no walks so far tonight, and a long time on the bench after a lengthy but fruitless top of the 7th for his offense. Melky jacks it to right center field. This is a great start to the inning, and Melky just barely missed a home run. He's into second base with the leadoff double. We'll take another look. That was very close to a possible home run for Melky Cabrera.
Now they're going to play on. This is a cutter down and in, and Melky hits the daylights out of it. Does hit the yellow line and bounces back into play, and that means that it is a double.
Terribly close to giving the Sox the lead. Melky's 4 for 4 against Corey Kluber tonight.
He came in with good numbers against Kluber, and now they're considerably better. So Yolmer's got to get him to third base at the very least.
Bunt jab down third base side. It is a dandy throw to first is in time, and what a play by Ramirez to get anything out of that play. Cabrera to third with 1 down.
You would think it's going to be a sacrifice. We'll wait for the official call. It is a sacrifice, and a fine play by Ramirez. Perfect bunt by Yolmer. He gets it down. Ramirez has 1 play, and he's able to get it and beat Yolmer there by the closest of margins. This is a fine effort.
See, that's a concern about. The one concern about the bunt there is then they take the bat out of Abreu's hands, but they might do that anyway if Sanchez makes an out. That's not a productive out. So it's an intentional walk to Abreu. And runners are going to be at first and third. Kluber is departing, and the Indians go to the bullpen where they have some very strong arms, including a left-handed one that can do some damage. Runners at the corners, 1 out, 4-4 a game as we step aside. Each game receive a Merck's cheese spread game card, good for savings on delicious Merck's cheese in the deli or dairy case at your local grocer. Watching the White Sox and saving on Merck's cheese. Some fans have all the luck. Visit whitesox.com or call 866-SOX-GAME. A new pitcher for Cleveland.
Our Hyundai call to the pen is Andrew Miller. He inherits runners at the corners, only 1 out. There you look at the numbers, and they've been spectacular. 1.57 ERA.
And a first pitch strike to Yoan Moncada, who sees Miller for the first time in this series.
Terry Francona knew that he was not going to let Kluber face Moncada from the left side. He wanted to turn him around.
Opposing hitters are 11 for 73, third in the American League, third lowest with runners on against Andrew Miller. So he's got 2 on as he enters the game, as Corey Kluber does battle with the bottle and his own nerves. And Moncada gets plucked.
That's the 4th man that Miller has hit this year, and that's going to load him up. And Moncada's hurt.
Yoan Moncada down after being hit by an Andrew Miller pitch.
He throws a slider, wanting to get it down and in, and hits him right on the left kneecap. Just on the outside. Those are type of pitches you just as soon take on the thigh, but you don't have a choice. He was trying to get out of the way. That ball just kept following him, and now he's going to go to first base.
This round of applause may match the one he got in his first trip to the plate. Having him healthy is paramount for 30,000 plus tonight.
Especially each and every one of those saw the 2 plays he made back-to-back, which are highlight reel plays.
Now it's up to Davidson, who was 0 for 3 against Corey Kluber with 3 strikeouts. So he gets the lefty Miller with the infield drawn in for Cleveland.
You don't have to play it that far in because of the speed of Melky at third base. If he was a burner, you'd probably play a little closer. But with the bases loaded for Matt, he's hit a grand slam.
There's a productive out on the table with a fly ball for Davidson. And that one goes bounding away. And here comes the run. Melky scores. Everyone froze. The Sox lead by the count of 5-4.
He got hit by the pitch.
And they are going to say it did hit him. So it's going to be 5-4 no matter what.
But Lance Barrett is saying that he swung the bat. And
Let's see.
Ricky wants to come out and get a clarification. Ricky's saying if the ball hit him first, it's a dead ball.
Let's see.
Watch it again.
I think that's the right call, Steve.
I think it's going to stand. Didn't appear that he swung, but on the appeal to Lance Barrett said that he swung.
And Ricky gets his explanation. So Melky came charging home. He wasn't immediately slowed down, and then he's told to go back on the swing.
Well, the bases will remain loaded as the Indians get a break.
Wow. Strike three.
This will end the Davidson at bat. His fourth strikeout of the night, and now Narvaez is being called back. Renteria wants a pinch hitter. And Kevin Smith will come up and try to get at least one home.
Narvaez finishes 0 for 3. Cabrera at third, Abreu at second, Moncada at first. Andrew Miller home with a first pitch. Off the plate, ball one. Close pitch. 1-1. That's called a strike. 1-2. Melky doubled. Sanchez a sac bunt. Abreu intentionally walked. Moncada hit by a pitch. Davidson a strikeout. Now Smith on a ball and 2 strikes. Miller gets out of it. Some disagreement from the Sox bench, but we are tied at 4 going to the 8th. New pitcher coming on for the Sox after 1 inning from Tyler Clippard.
Jake Petrichka comes on for the 11th time. 1-0. Limited action. The ERA 8.49. And the game is squarely in his hands. The game belongs to both bullpens at this point, as both starters get no decisions. Kevin Smith came on to pinch hit. Stays in the game behind the plate.
Yeah, if you're wondering, by the way, sitting at home, why that play was called as it was in terms of the swing and hit by pitch, when the ball then hits the batter on a hit by pitch, the ball is dead, so you're not allowed to have the runner come home on that hit by pitch because of the swing from the batter. That is the way the rule is written, so that's why we're still tied at 4. We were talking about it during the break. It's incumbent upon the defensive team to call for that appeal as well.
Yeah, that's why the play was disjointed and delayed, because you had to call for that appeal. In the meantime, Melky was streaming home, but it didn't count.
Gomes had enough to worry about. He was thinking about tracking down that baseball as well, and to come back and call for the appeal, and so the play was let to continue as very quickly Gomes has the count well in his favor at 3-0. Three and one on Gomes.
It's going to be a sinker. Let's see if he can get in the zone.
He did, and Gomes got under it. You can see the frustration from Yan Gomes as Melky dances underneath out number 1.
Well, he got what was a sinker and very hittable, just didn't get it. Just like we promised earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Here's our Miller moments, and it's a couple of sparkling defensive plays by Yoan Moncada. This one drifting to his right. Unbelievable play, and he followed it up with one that might have been a bit better. Backhand flip of the glove and gets it there in time. Back-to-back gems.
Two of the finest plays you're going to see all season, and maybe for a couple of years.
They were just great.
1 strike on Gonzalez. Petrichka feeds in strike 2. Hansen, Anderson, and Engel scheduled for the Sox in the bottom of the 8th. On the ground left side, Davidson charging, and Davidson got it. 2 down.
Nice effort on both sides of the play. Matt Davidson charging the ball, getting it quickly enough, and getting it across. Jose with a good stretch. Gonzalez doesn't have great speed, but he got down the line pretty well. The throw beats him by a long step. Good effort.
Jose Abreu's played a really nice first base tonight.
Yeah, he has. It started early with a terrific play, crossing into foul territory, dragging his foot across the bag, and it's kept up all game long. Not to mention the 3-run homer that got the Sox back in the game.
Well, Jake Petrichka has come out of the bullpen and thrown daggers so far. Zimmer singled and scored in the 3-run third for Cleveland. Indians last scored in that 3rd inning. 0-2. Check swing, ball low, 2 balls, 2 strikes. And you know, you look at the record for the Sox, 39-61, and then you look at the intensity with which a lot of the guys are playing and their status in terms of where you stand in the organization for the future of this rebuild on the line for the last 62 games of this year.
Well, that's what Rick Renteria was talking about. He's got a good feeling for the results because it's a team that's undermanned. However, one of the things he demands is full-out effort from each and every one of these players, and he's been, for the most part, very happy with the effort he's gotten.
Up high, ball 4, and not the guy you want to walk with the speed of Zimmer. It's really a no-lose situation with him at first right now, with Lindor, Brantley, and Encarnacion scheduled up in the 9th. You agree?
I agree.
Nice hat.
Thank you.
We've been partying like it's 1917 all game long. Thanks for joining us. Celebrating the 100-year anniversary of the World Series champs back in 17.
It's turned out to be a very entertaining game.
Yes, it has.
And with the Indians taking a 4-0 lead behind Corey Kluber, you figured, well, you know, look, you're going to play as hard as you can the rest of the way, but pretty much for the last 10 starts, he'd only given up 3 runs max. But the boys fought their way back and tied it up. And Kluber gets a no decision.
Check on Zimmer. 12 stolen bases, 13 tries. Zimmer does not run.
He was testing to see what kind of a lead he could get because he came off aggressively and then took a quick first step before realizing he didn't get much of a break. So he goes back.
Lindor in the air, left center field. Melky can't get there. Zimmer's going to third, and he is stopped there. Lindor at first, runners at the corners. If Melky took a little bit longer on that ball, along with Engel from center, you might have seen Zimmer try to score. Instead, Melky nurses his wound on a good effort in left.
It goes as a base hit as Melky has it in the glove ever so slightly before getting a face full of the turf. So it'll keep runners at the corners. That probably is going to be it for Jake Petrichka. Melky with a valiant effort gets the ball back in, and the runners have to stay on the corners. He hurt his shoulder on the dive. Hopefully he will be okay. And as he walks out, so will we. We'll be back. ecliclending.com. eClick is located in Chicagoland and rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. eClick Lending. Boom! Your mortgage just happened.
They evidently had great sound effects in 1917.
Our Hyundai call to the pen. And there he is, Aaron Bummer. Those are numbers from the minor leagues. In 28 games, a good ERA of 3.31. And he's got to retire a very tough hitter in Michael Brantley.
Bummer, who's just a couple of years removed from Tommy John surgery, out of the University of Nebraska, where the head coach is now former White Sox player Darren Erstad. There's strike number 1 to Brantley. Lefty versus lefty here in the 8th. Lindor at first, Zimmer at third. Good speed involved in the play for Cleveland. One strike, Bummer to Brantley. Edwin Encarnacion is next. And it looks as though it would be Encarnacion versus Bummer in case of a possible walk and still a 4-4 tie. Nobody up in the White Sox bullpen with 3 relievers already deployed tonight. In the air, left center field. Melky for out number 3. Cleveland has left 5 in the last 2 innings. It's tied at 4, bottom 8. We don't get shown as press people. You have the press tag on your hat, but nobody knows we're press. You know, we just have the ragtime hat and the bowler hat. Nobody knows that we are media here. Although I guess the microphones are a dead giveaway, huh?
Yeah, that probably tells the tale. But it's been an entertaining evening, and we'll see if the Sox can come back against one of the league's best in Andrew Miller.
Steve, you and I always wanted to be in the talkies.
And this is it. But I did like the top of the show and the little silent movie that we were able to put together. And
you're a real Charlie Chaplin. Foul ball from Hansen, 2 strikes.
Well, the guys did just a great job of putting it together, editing any of the mistakes we probably made during the course of the shooting. You know, that took what, 3-4 months in production and everything else to go through.
Well, and we always thank our crew for the great work that they do, but Todd Hackle did the video editing for tonight, Christina Quinn on graphics, Jessica Felton marketing and research, and the idea for the silent movie was Mark Harper, our technical manager. And so all the credit in the world goes to those 4, and our producer John Walgren, our director Jim Angio, and everybody involved in the telecast tonight. But those 4 especially, with some unique and tremendous work this evening.
Yeah, it was very creative and a lot of fun to do.
That cigar, after about 150 takes, was running out of solidity.
I would say that it was getting a touch chewy toward the end.
You know, nothing says great branding like try our new chewy cigar. I had asked the prop people, and notably I did not give any thanks to anybody in props because they didn't furnish me with exploding cigars that I was going to put in your bag.
Oh, no.
That's Joe Groob's trick, the old exploding cigar trick. To right field, Alan Hansen with a leadoff base hit.
That's 3 of them tonight for Allen, and he represents a go-ahead and the potential winning run. He's got good speed. Turned around and hit from the right side and took it into right field. That fastball out away from Hansen. Does a great job of guiding it into right field, just over the outstretched glove of Carlos Santana.
Take that, Andrew Miller. Sincerely me, Alan Hansen. Tim Anderson. Runner on, nobody out. Bunt shown. Bunt down, third base, Ramirez. Everybody duck. Hansen to second base with 1 away for Adam Engel.
Good bunt as Tim got it down, and Ramirez thought about second base, but realized there was no play there. Took the easy out. So Hansen moves into scoring position.
Adam Engel, who was hit by a pitch by Kluber in the 3rd, flied out in the 5th and grounded out in the 6th. Melky is next, then Sanchez. Ball number 1. You would prefer in this situation that the Indians somehow be forced to face Melky Cabrera. Don't know if that exactly plays considering the options. Of course, if Engel drives in the run, that's a horse of a different color. And Mike Pelfrey, who there were rumblings about going to the bullpen, is in the bullpen now and loosening. Two balls and a strike on Engel. Hansen at second base. 3 balls and a strike. Well, a walk of Engel would put Melky in a pretty good situation. First and second, 1 out.
Getting an at bat from the right side.
That is ball 4. 2 on, 1 down, and Melky Cabrera coming up.
Melky is 3 for 21 in the course of his career against Andrew Miller. None of that in this situation is going to matter because Melky swinging it very well tonight. and they're meeting at the mound. So Gomes now walking back. Lindor will go back to shortstop. Andrew Miller will have to face a red-hot Melky.
Three singles and a double tonight for Melky Cabrera. Foul ground first base side, and this gets out of play.
Ryan Shaw up and going in the pen.
Melky in search of his second career 5-hit night. The first one came in 2015, June 21st against the Rangers. He was 5 for 5.
The arms in the outfield are good but not great all the way around. So with the speed of Hansen on a base hit, he most likely scores.
0-2 from Miller. Foul of third. Hansen singled, Anderson bunted, Angulo walk, and now 2 strikes on Cabrera with Sanchez coming next. Crowd's riled up on 0-2. Inside and a block from Gomes. Everything's been away or middle away. 1-2. On the ground, third base side. Could be 2. Off the sidewall. Stop sign at third. Angle frozen there. 2 down, runners at the corners.
I think we're going to see E5 because you have to explain Angle getting to third base. It is E5. This looked like it's going to be a double play. But Ramirez doesn't get a lot on the throw. Looked like he was trying to guide it across. And the ball skips away from Santana. And Melky did not touch first base. He's now standing on it, so it becomes a moot point. But he never touched first base. And it's a good thing that wasn't noticed.
Two down, Yolmer Sanchez. There's that slider for Miller, 0-1. Sanchez has singled at center in the 5th against Kluber. A strikeout in the 1st, a strikeout in the 3rd, and a sacrifice bunt to the 7th.
With that slider down and into the right-hand hitters from Andrew Miller, more times than not, if you get any piece of it, you foul it off some part of your anatomy. And here's another slider.
On the outside corner, 1-2.
You would think another one would be forthcoming.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Miller to Sanchez. There it is in the dirt. Gomes the peg, and the inning's over. The Sox have stranded 5 in the last 2 innings, just like Cleveland. Chances galore and a tie score.
And in the broadcast booth alongside Rodrigo Arana for a Spanish broadcast of White Sox baseball presented by Swaparama. First pitch is at 7, or stream the game live at csnchicago.com.
Top of the 9th inning, we're tied at 4, and Aaron Bummer guns in a strike to Edwin Encarnacion as a defensive replacement. Willie Garcia is into right for Alan Hansen. It's a pitch that looked like a strike from Bummer. He didn't get the call. Indians have won 8 in a row. Sox have lost 4 in a row.
That was a terrific backdoor slider. Shaved off the outside corner. Encarnacion, never having seen Bummer, went out to try to get it, but the ball dove under the bat.
There's strike 3. Encarnacion pushed aside by Bummer in a very strong at bat for the rookie left-hander. 1 away.
Two good sliders ends it. This one a little more inside. Encarnacion, who's going to strike out 160 times this year. That's just one of them. That's his second tonight.
Now Ramirez takes a strike. You have to imagine Aaron Bummer is a little bit more calm tonight after that major league debut a couple of nights ago. Anderson at shortstop snaps off a high throw, but an on-target throw, and 2 down here in the 9th. But on Bummer, he said, look, when I first got out on the field, my legs were shaking a little bit, and it does take you a little while to settle yourself, especially with the different look of that extra deck in a major league stadium.
And coming into the excitement that was the Cubs-Sox game, came in, gave up the home run to Schwarber. Looks a little more comfortable here this evening.
Now a tough out in Carlos Santana, who singled and walked 3 times. So 1 base hit and 3 bases on balls for Santana, whose on-base percentage has risen from .341 tonight.
Santana now has 54 walks. go with 65 strikeouts. He's getting a lot closer to walking more than striking out, which is a difficult thing to do.
He just so rarely gets himself out.
This is first game of the season walking 3 times. Very patient hitter.
Fouled off 2-2 from Bummer to Santana. Day game tomorrow, 1:10 p.m. Josh Tomlin for Cleveland, Carlos Rodon for the Sox. Outside 3-2. Santana takes ball 4, so a 4-walk day for Carlos Santana, who entering play today was in the top 20 in the majors, but with those 4, that would put him up to 15th if nobody else above him walked.
Sean Allen. Stereo Sean Allen.
These microphones, that's what they do.
Shaw comes in if they don't score. Allen comes in if they do.
Strike 1 to Austin Jackson. RBI double in the 3rd. Went to center field. The last run scoring play for Cleveland tonight. Somewhere Eddie Seacott above is watching and saying, why have they used 4 pitchers? It's only the 9th.
He had 28 wins on the exact date 100 years ago.
Not a whole lot of lefty-righty matchup playing out of bullpens back in those days.
And a 4-man rotation. You went to the, if you were one of the mainstays, you went to the mound every 4th day.
Uphill both ways, by the way, up to the mound. Two balls, 2 strikes on Jackson. Sox in the 9th will have Abreu, Moncada, and Davidson. 3 guys who, with 1 swing, if it's still a tie game, can very quickly end the night. Jackson gulps it to right field and in front of Willie Garcia. Santana pumps the brakes at second. 2 on for Cleveland. 2 out in the 9th for Yan Gomes.
Couple of hits tonight for Austin Jackson, who keeps it alive, dumping this ball into right field.
Pretty good 2-strike swing right there.
In full defense mode, puts a go-ahead run at second base. So now everybody meets on the mound, and Jim Reynolds out to break it up. Belfry and Gregory Infante, and now that's Kurt Hassler. The universal sign that your pensmen are ready to go is when the bullpen coach takes his hat off. Rick Renteria knows now that he can take whichever one he likes. They're both ready. So Infante's going to come in as Bummer walks out. So will we. We'll be back. Gregory Infante. On for the 27th time, he's 0-1. His ERA at 4.5. There you look at the rest of the numbers. He inherits Indian base runners at first and second base.
First batter Infante's faced this year has a .286 average, 6 for 21. And that is the only batter of import right now with 2 on and 2 out in the 9th. It's Yan Gomes, the Indians catcher, who's driven in 3 runs in the series, including a sac fly in the second inning tonight.
Well, that batting average isn't much to look at. In these 2 games, he's swung the bat a lot better than he's been swinging it, so he's pretty dangerous.
Gomes is hit by the pitch. Bases loaded. Now will they pull back Gonzalez?
Yes, absolutely. I don't know who they're going to use, but just as soon use somebody with a bit more experience as he gets plunked in the thigh.
It's Brandon Guyer that's grabbed a bat for the Cleveland Indians. So Guyer, who was on 4 times last night, if he gets on here, he's given Cleveland the lead, and now Don Cooper is out of the Sox dugout to talk to Infante.
Guyer's been hit 5 times this year. Normally, that's a good month for him. So you got to be careful if you decide to go inside. This Guyer usually leads all of baseball in getting hit.
You can see the exasperation from Ricky Renteria as he calls out a pitcher out of the bullpen, and the first act is to whack Gomes with a baseball and load the bases. That is the game of roulette that managers play. And a hit by pitch on the first pitch essentially is green 0. So Guyer with the game in his hands, and the Sox with the 3-4-5 hitters looming in the bottom of the 9th.
Guyer 0 for 6 as a pinch hitter this year.
He takes strike 1. He went away from the fastball and sent over a strike.
Where the bases loaded for Brendan Guyer has been unbelievably good.
Oh and 1. Cleveland so far tonight has stranded 11 base runners. Three more possible castaways with 2 down. Ball and 2 strikes.
After 2 sliders, he throws a high fastball and throws it by him.
Infante glares at Guyer. Ball and 2 strikes, 2 down. And he hit Guyer.
And they were just talking about the fact that you can't throw this guy inside. Absolutely cannot throw him inside.
3 straight years he's led the league in plunkings, and Brandon Guyer takes one for the team with 2 out in the 9th.
This one sails inside, and Guyer does not get the elbow out of the way. He didn't lean into that. He had very little choice. And that one still hurts. But the Indians have the lead. That'll take some of the sting out of it.
Real life Roger Dorn strikes again, and Cleveland leads 5-4 in the 9th. Here's Bradley Zimmer. Now you're going to have to face Cody Allen. You have 3 power hitters coming up. And so there's still certainly a chance, but a Zimmer hit forces the probability into the cellar.
Allen with 18 saves and a 2.81 ERA as you look at the bases full of Indians.
That ball fades outside. 2-0 on Zimmer, who you would imagine is bound to have something good to hit.
And look at those numbers with the bases loaded for a first-year player.
Two balls, no strikes. He went after a high fastball. 2-1.
That's a bit of the rookie coming out in him because that's ball 3. A bit over anxious, and he expanded his strike zone.
Infante to Zimmer. Called inside. 3-1. That had enough break that it looked like it fooled the plate umpire Reynolds.
It has the plate because Kevin Smith didn't even move the glove, but did not get the call.
Three balls and a strike. Full count.
Now the runners will be going, taking the force out of the equation.
Twice tonight, Zimmer has seen a full count already, and both times he walked. In the first against Gonzalez, and in the 8th inning against Petrichka. Three and 2. In the air, left field. Melky Cabrera for out number 3. A hit by pitch with the bases loaded. And Cleveland has the lead. Cody Allen getting loose. A 1-run game, bottom 9 next.
This year, but 18 of 19 in save situations, on for the 43rd time, the ERA at 2.81 and 55 big strikeouts in 41 2/3. He's got a terrific curveball, normally very good control. As you can say, lefties or righties pretty much the same, but he has given up 5 home runs, so he's got to deal with the heart of the order as Giovanni Urshela, who started last night, comes in defensively. That shifts Ramirez over to second base.
42 trips to the mound this year for Cody Allen. 31 of the 42 have been scoreless.
Got the right guys up. Moncada will get a chance to swing the bat from the left side, which is his preference.
Right-handers 180 against Allen since 2016 began. And he offers ball one to Abreu. Jose is the reason the Sox are in this game. A 3-run homer in the third. Inside out and foul, 1-1.
StatCast powered by AWS. In the third inning, Jose got a hold of the first ball fastball and made it a 4-3 game. Hang time wouldn't have been good for a punt, but it was very good for a home run.
Very returnable home run for Abreu. One ball, one strike. Good slider.
We're against Allen for Jose. Not horrible. Better than most right-handers do against him.
Ball and 2 strikes. Abreu slices it to right field and caught. Austin Jackson on a tough pitch to hit at any rate, and one away. It's up to Moncada as the only scheduled non-right-handed batter. Yohan hit by a pitch in the 7th inning. 2 strikeouts tonight and a fly out to center. Had that first career home run Wednesday. Inside, ball number 1. Each team with a 3-run third tonight. Good breaking ball strike from Allen to Moncada, 1-1. That's low and in. 2 balls and a strike on Moncada. Sox do not have anybody left-handed remaining to use. Tyler Saladino, the only available pinch hitter, with Garcia coming in as a defensive replacement. On the corner, strike 2. There's Matt Davidson, who's 0 for 4 strikeouts tonight. Strike 3 called. A beautiful final couple of pitches to Moncada, 2 down.
That one had the whole plate. After looking at that slider or curveball, his fastball looks overwhelming, especially when you throw it exactly where you want to throw it, right in above his hands.
So it's up to one of 4 rookies with 20 home runs before August 1st. First time that's ever happened in Major League Baseball history. Davidson checks his swing and did go around, says Lance Barrett at first.
That's the second time tonight where it didn't look like Matt swung, but was called. Watch it again. That you could flip a coin on that. That could go either way. That was not an egregious call.
Definitely on second look, it looked more like a swing than it did the first time around. $16 strikeouts tonight for Cleveland pitching. 2 walks, 1 intentional. That's called strike 2.
One thing with Allen is that his curveball is so good, but you can't look for it, because if he creases you with a fastball, then you're just shaking your head.
There is the breaking ball, 2-2. Gomes back at home. No play. Andrew Miller for an inning and 2/3. He hit a batter, and he struck out 3. Cody Allen trying to close it up. Two balls, 2 strikes. Allen. And Davidson hits it in the air right side, hooking foul. Bob Feller jersey in the crowd.
Yep. Indian Hall of Famer.
Those 1917 jerseys, and the folks wearing them hoping for a late rally tonight. 2-2, Allen to Davidson. Matt hits it to shortstop with some spin on it, and Lindor finishes the game. Cody Allen goes 1-2-3 in the 9th, and a hit by pitch is the final blow that Cleveland strikes in a 5-4 win.
Well, unfortunately, it was a shorter night than we would have liked as far as this battle is concerned. An entertaining game, and at the end, the Indians win it very quiet way with the hit batsman with the bases loaded, but a good battle, and we will see you tomorrow. A day game. Get your rest.
I will always go back to 1917 with you.
Terrific.
Fun time tonight. Sox and Indians go 5-4. We took you all the way back to 1917, and the Sox fall by a run. So for everybody involved in this telecast, our producer John Walgren, director Jim Angio, associate producer Dave Ross, our tech manager Mark Harper, who did so much setup for this, and the executive producer Jim Corno Jr. He's Steve Stone. I'm Jason Benetti. So long from Guaranteed Rate Field on behalf of our entire crew. Coming up next, Subaru Postgame Live. You've been watching Chicago White Sox baseball on CSN Chicago.